and do what I did, you know, to wear down. Just, you know, neighbor promises, my English is our second language, you know, like, I can do that. And now I can get mine, not prior to us dating, but you know, dug in a bit.
You ready? I'm ready. Yep.
Okay.
All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the May 4th, 2026 regular meeting of the Township of Montclair Planning Board. In accordance with the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 72 of New Jersey's Public Laws of 2025, and the amendments to Section 12 of the Municipal Land Use Law, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting a copy of the notice on the first floor of this building and on the Township of Montclair's official internet website and on the statewide legal notices listings of the New Jersey Department of State. This meeting is being broadcast live on Channel 34 and is streaming live and will be available on demand on YouTube. This meeting is a quasi-judicial proceeding, meaning that the board has powers and procedures resembling a court of law, and we're obligated to objectively determine facts and draw conclusions from them in order to provide the basis of an official action. Any questions or comments must be limited to the issues of what the board may legally consider in reaching a decision, and the decorum appropriate to a judicial hearing must be maintained at all times. Fire exits are on my right, which is your left, and also the back of the room where you likely entered. And as to the order of this evening, each application hearing begins with the applicant or their attorney giving an overview of the application and the variances that are required, if any. We then hear from any expert witnesses the applicant may have to help explain the application and why variances are required. The board members may ask questions of the applicant, the attorney, and their expert witnesses. And if you're a member of the interested public but not a witness in the case, you'll have two opportunities to speak. At the end of each witness's testimony, you'll be given the opportunity to ask the witness questions about his or her testimony. And that's not the time to tell the board what you think of the application. That'll actually come at a later point in the hearing. And to ask questions, you'll have to come to the front of the room here, give us your name and address, and then ask your questions related to the witness's testimony only. And again, that's the questions portion of the public's input. And then after the applicant's witnesses, any objector and objector witnesses have been heard, members of the audience will then have their second opportunity to step forward, and at that time, you may express your opinions, positive or negative, about the application, and comments are generally limited to 3 minutes per person. And at the completion of the applicant's case, the objector's case, if any, and public comment, the public hearing is closed and the board members discuss the case and vote. And at that time, you'll be able to listen to our discussion, but you will not be able to participate. And next on our agenda is roll call.
Mayor Baskerville.
Present.
Mr. Borshoff.
Here.
Mr. Campbell is excused. Counselor D'Amato.
Here.
Ms. Gaines.
Here.
Mr. Graham is excused. Mr. Ianwali.
Here.
Ms. Willis is excused. Mr. Orbea.
Present.
Ms. Wallace.
Here.
And Chair Brodock.
I'm here.
Okay.
Next up is the swearing in of our board professionals.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you may give tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
All right, and that brings us to application 2945, 580 Valley Road, BG Valley LLC.
Sure.
Sir.
I just wanted to say that, like the vice chair, I'm going to step off of this application and recuse, not for any one particular big reason, but for 4 or 5 very, small ones. One, I will just say I do know and admire the applicant, not in a way that I think would skewer my ability to do this. I also got several letters, 2 letters from people that I know and trust, just asking as a courtesy to not judge on this. One was from Mr. Rubacki. I think we may have seen this, that was just saying that the township's representatives probably shouldn't sit on it because we had an interest in the right of way. I don't think that really, you saw that, but I really admire and also trust Mr. Rubacki. And then the Upper Montclair Business Association, which I really try to have a good relationship with, asked me also, just express basically concern and maybe confusion as to what the role of a counselor who's looking after them can sit impartially on this. Fourth small reason, I would just say, I have a bit of a conflict in terms of ideologically with the idea of parking minimums, and I have not really worked it out in my head. So for me to judge on a case that, on an application that pivots on that, just makes me it gives me a little pause. It's sort of like if you were against capital punishment and you were on a capital punishment case. And the fifth and probably most important reason is that everybody could probably use a break from me talking for a week. So with that, I'm going to go sit in the audience, and I wish you all well, and thank you.
Sounds good. Anybody wants to slide up, feel free, but if you're set where you are, stay there. Ms. Talley, do we have more exhibits to mark before the applicant gets started? Is your microphone?
Sorry.
Thank you.
A17 is a letter from Jamal Keisel dated April 22nd, 2026. A18 are revised engineering drawings prepared by Jamal Keisel dated April 22nd, 2026. A19 are revised architectural drawings submitted by Jamal Keisel dated April 22nd, 2026. And A20 is a letter from Board Engineer Norberto Hernandez dated May 1st, 2026.
Thank you. Mr. Trembulac.
Good evening, everyone.
You can finish writing. I'm just,
Yeah,
yeah, take your time.
Yep. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Alan Trembulac appearing again on behalf of the applicant, BG Valley LLC. This is a continuation of the site plan application we started on March 23rd involving the property at 580 Valley Road with a proposal to construct a swim quest children's school on the location. In addition to site plan approval, we have 2 variances for parking and impervious coverage. What I plan to do this evening, I'm going to have Mr. Genova spend a few minutes discussing the revised architectural plans, which have been significantly revised with respect to the front facade of the building, which was a concern of a number of people, and I think the revisions have addressed those concerns. So I'm going to have him review those architectural design changes for the board. Following his testimony, I intend to call our site engineer, Gerry Gesario, to review the site plan, address the engineering issues associated with the application. And then finally for tonight, normally we would save our professional planner, who in this case is Peter Steck, to be our sort of cleanup hitter, last witness, but I'm going to call him tonight because as so often happens with Mr. Steck, he's in demand and is unavailable for the next 2 or 3 board meetings. So we're going to call him out of turn tonight. And then that's what we intend to present tonight. And then at the following hearing, whenever that's going to be, we'll have 2 additional witnesses, which will be testimony from one of the principals, from the founding principals of Swim Quest, who will describe the operation, and then finally, testimony from our traffic engineer. So.
Okay, so you're not going to finish tonight, and so that means we won't have public comment tonight on the overall application, but we will have public comments for each witness.
Sure. Yep. Questions.
Sorry, questions, yes. Public questions of each witness. Thank you.
Okay, so I'd like to recall Mr. Genova. David, you understand you're still under oath?
I do.
Okay, so subsequent to the first hearing on this application in March, did you work together with the project architect to revise the architectural plans for the proposed building, particularly the front facade?
We did.
Okay, I'd like you to review the plan revisions for the board, if you could. Would it be helpful to, Janice, do we have the?
I don't think we have this slide because I didn't bring the digital slide for this.
Janice has them.
What do you want to bring
The
up?
architectural plans, 4 sheets.
You can bring up the cover sheet? Yeah, you can bring up the cover sheet. If we can bring this one, that'd be great.
Yeah, she should have the 4.
Okay.
The 4. I mean, that's the most important.
I thought the architect. As Mr. Trembulak stated, we made some revisions to the building. As he also stated, we're requesting 2 variances on this application, but there were a number of design-related concerns as to the circulation within the building, the visibility from Valley Road, the activation of Valley Road, some of which rose to the level of design waivers in the past. Mostly driven by an initial conversation with the fire department, how they wanted the building to sit on the site, how it would work best for them to be able to ingress and egress out of the rear of their site. And so hearing that conflict, hearing that there was a want from the fire department to have the building sit and face a certain way and have traffic circulate a certain way, but also hearing the concerns from this board and from Ms. Talley about what that does to the street-facing activation, we sat down and rethought how this building behaves on its interior, and as a result, there were changes made to the exterior of the building to accommodate those changes. Most importantly, not a lot of the programming on the inside of the building has changed, but where it occurs in the building has changed. So looking at the actual layout, which I think you guys have in your packet, we moved the public-facing parts of this operation to Valley Road, and we also made a connectivity between the rear vestibule and the front vestibule so that the entirety of the public-facing operation is now visible from Valley Road. So the southernmost storefront on Valley Road is now a true entrance, just as the rear entrance is. We still hope to drive traffic through the site in the way that we had planned previously, and our civil engineer, Mr. Gesario, is going to testify to that and how that works. But what we had previously was a situation where there was really one main entrance and one kind of auxiliary door. It's now a double-loaded lobby where you can come from either side of the lobby. You can see the entire lobby from the Valley Road entrance and from the rear, including all the things that make this lively and interesting. The blow bar, the coffee area, the seating area for parents, the koi pond, the fish tank, all the things that are the reason that I believe the master plan and the ordinance want activated storefronts. We tried to make sure those all had viewpoints from Valley Road. So the first major change is that this whole corridor goes the length of the building, and it's now, you can enter there, you can enter here, and you can meet a representative on site. The second thing that we were able to do once we accomplished this from a layout perspective is we were able to eliminate any opacity on the front windows. The front windows were originally partially opaque so that you weren't, to discourage someone from being able to see directly into the pool without kind of standing on their tippy toes. That also created a design waiver because we want transparent storefronts in our Upper Montclair Business District. Creating this separation in this lobby area between Valley and the pool itself allows for that front facade to be fully transparent. We don't have to film the window in any way, and people will be able to see into all the things that you want them to see in in the Upper Montclair Business District. It also gave us the ability to add more glass on the front to hit the 60% glass requirement on the facade, so the glass grew vertically on the front facade, and as a result, the overall wave and the other building materials that are on the front shrunk. So the wave became smaller, the canopy and awning was raised, glass goes up further, and we've eliminated the design waivers as a result of this without meaningfully changing how the operation works on the inside, despite changing kind of where it all happens on the inside of the building. We think we were able to accomplish that objective. And finally, we for consistency's sake, which was from a couple members of the public, I don't remember if anybody from the board asked this question, but the south facade, sorry, southeast facade. The facade by Talbot's now has the same wave detail as the opposite side by the fire department. So on both sides of the building, there's the same dimensionality and the same architectural intent, whereas on the front, that paneling and that wave detail was drastically reduced and replaced with more transparent glass to create a more of an activated front facade on Valley Road. Those are the bulk of the changes. Materials didn't change, storefront materials didn't change, just an interior layout that gave us the ability to remove some of the design waiver requests that were being triggered by operational conditions inside the building that was important to the applicant. And that's how we were able to accomplish those changes.
So your overall objective in revising the plans with the architect were to attempt to bring the project into compliance with the commercial design standards that were cited in
That's right.
Ms. Talley's memorandum? Okay, and in your opinion, have you achieved that?
In my opinion, we've achieved that.
Okay. Just a couple of questions. You mentioned the side facades. Is there any change to the rear facade?
No change to the rear facade.
Okay. You talked about the visibility to the interior of the building resulting from the elimination of the opaque film and larger windows. There's also a portion of the front facade where there's actually a small window display.
There is.
And that's the southerly side, I think, right?
The southerly side, when looking at Talbot's next door, they had, visibility into the front, and on the side, they had a merchandise display, like a shadow box created in their space. And so we took advantage of that for where we were left with restrooms that couldn't have visibility into those restrooms. So a small section of the southern or southeastern facade has the same shadow box, the same kind of dimensionality, where we can put swim equipment, bathing suits, goggles, things like that that represent the small retail component of this space, but similar to the Talbots. And after looking at the actual commercial design standards under that context, transparency on the storefronts is defined as either transparency into the store or to a shadow box merchandise display. So it still removes the waiver request, but yes, there's a small section that is reserved for display purposes that acts more like a shadow box than straight through. And that was a result of bathroom placement and some other things that we couldn't solve for in a different place.
And last thing I would just point out or ask you to discuss, it appears to me that the signage on the front of the building has, number one, been relocated and also reduced in size, if I'm correct?
I don't think the signage itself was reduced in size. It's still a conforming sign, but it was relocated to be above the canopy underneath the smaller wave facade. Or the smaller wave component of the facade.
Okay. But you believe that the sign is still the same
Sign
size
is
as originally designed?
still a
Okay,
conforming
my
sign.
mistake. Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Questions from the board? Ms. Talley?
I just, are you, Mr. Trembulac, are you going to have testimony from the architect or this evening, or is this it?
If there are questions that.
Okay, mine's.
If we need to, we
All right,
will, but
then I'll ask Mr. Genova. The question, I see you've added an interior wall that surrounds the pool, and that kind of will be the separation between the window glass at the front and the activity in the pool. Okay, and that's a new addition to the plan.
Well, it was one wall because the pool took up the entire northern part of the building prior, and
Right.
all of the public-facing activities happened on the west and on the south.
Right.
And so now that L is reversed.
Okay.
And so the wall isn't different, it's just in a different place.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, a few questions on let me get my slides right. On the south side, I thought you were saying there was some visibility into the koi pond, but I don't see from the elevation on the south side. I just see a brick wall and the cladding system?
The south side is on a property line, so we can't put any glass on the south wall itself. That wall needs to have a fire rating.
Okay.
So you can see into the lobby where you can see the things like the fish tank and the koi pond from Valley Road. But the south facade itself, we are unable from a building code perspective to put glazing on that wall because it's higher.
And then how about on the north side? Similar no?
The north side has.
Oh, I see, it's changing
has
rooms and
things
bathrooms,
occurring
yeah.
all along that wall that require privacy. It is far enough away from the lot line that we could have some glazing
Yeah,
on
I
that
get
wall,
it.
but it doesn't lend itself to the operation inside.
Second of all, are you committing then to keep, when the business is in operation, to keep at all times that front door unlocked and active?
Yes.
Okay. Thirdly, I appreciate that, and it was something I was personally concerned about. It still feels like the front entrance could feel a little more grand or welcoming. It kind of blends in with the storefront system, whether, you chose to put your sign elsewhere, but I feel like the front door, looking at the rendering, to me, still doesn't, it's a single door, it's a narrow, it's probably ADA compliant, but it doesn't seem like a very big, impressive entrance to a business. It just seems like a door in a glass storefront, so I would request that you consider, this comes directly from the zoning, that building entrances should be emphasized with distinctive architecture and treatment, so I think the emphasize part is lost in your design.
One of the things we've spoken about since the submission had gone in was actually adding a sign band over that front door where the sign moves so that it's more visible for walking traffic. It actually would move from being over the canopy
Yeah.
to being on like a metal band above the storefront, a still conforming sign. We did look at different options for how that, we have 61% transparency now, so we don't have a lot of room to go down in terms of other materials that we can use on that front. We're just at that minimum threshold for not needing a design waiver. We aren't opposed to a design waiver, but we wanted to be there. So if there was an interest in having a different material composition on that side, I'm just saying, it would start to necessitate a design waiver unless we accomplished it by doing like a metal band over the
Right.
glass with that sign there, which is something that we're talking about internally and would likely be part of a revised submission if this board felt it was appropriate.
I would encourage that where your sign is now, it's lost from the pedestrian realm, and I know, it's nice to be able to walk by a business and see the sign at
Right.
a little above eye level as opposed to where it's now. So, yeah, I would encourage thinking that through a little more.
Sure.
But,
Where it is
you know-
now was placed kind of for visibility from the big intersection, right? Like
Right.
coming from Bellevue, coming south on Valley.
As a car?
As a vehicle, you can
Right.
see it. But it's something that we are not wed to, and that we may, with this board's guidance, we're happy to either make it a condition or happy to just move it in a resubmitted.
Yeah, I would consider some level of signage for the pedestrian level.
Yeah.
But, thank you.
Sure.
Other questions from the board?
Excellent idea that the door needs to be emphasized, and a simple way of doing that would be to just change the material, not to keep the glass, but just the framing for the door, make it a different material so that it announces itself, it's more visible. Because right now it does just blend in with the storefront. So that's just one suggestion.
Sure. Thanks, Travis.
Yeah, and I would agree with all that's been said here, and that's the logo for swim class seems lost on the rendering, and that's across the street looking presumably from eye level up. It's just kind of hidden behind that awning. I had a question about the light. Is there a light under the awning? And I don't know if that's a question for you or Mr. Gesario, who will probably cover more lighting.
There is an overhead light over the door. Mr. Gesario is going to cover the site plan stuff, so not architecture specifically. There's a light over the door for overhead illumination, and then these sconces are meant to be the safety lighting that illuminate what's underneath that overhead. The 4 sconces on the front.
Are the 4 sconces modeled in the lighting plan? No, Mr. Gesario is shaking his head, because that's kind of where I'm going with some of these questions, trying to understand, on the lighting plan, and again, if you want to defer to Mr. Gesario, that's fine, but the lighting plan basically shows one light on the front of the building and not the 4 sconces in the modeling for foot candles across the property.
If there's an inconsistency with that between the civil and the architectural, we'll make sure to address it.
Okay, so that one main light is under the canopy? Okay, thank you.
Where it's intended to be, whether or not it made it to the civil.
Well,
Yes.
because obviously it wouldn't illuminate anything if it was above the
Yes.
awning, right? So that's really where I was going with the changes, because I couldn't frankly tell from the rendering. Any other questions from the board? Questions from the public for this witness about his testimony this evening? If you have them, step right on up to the lectern. If you would, give us your name and address and ask your questions of this witness.
Hi, Jane.
And we'll have to make sure,
Marion Road, can you hear me?
yeah, I don't know if it's on.
Green light is usually,
Is there,
unless that's the broken one.
Rick will help. We'll get you covered here. I remember that from the last hearing, we were having an issue with one of the
There it
microphones.
goes, now it's on.
Excellent.
Jane Hanson,
Thank you.
Marion Road, thank you. I had that same question about the new door, about the pedestrian entrance on Valley Road. I noticed from your plan, though, that there isn't a reception desk at that door. And so I was wondering if that is something that would be added, so the door would be staffed?
We don't plan on adding a second reception desk. The concern with the layout previously was that the place to bring people in from Valley Road wasn't visible from the reception desk. So in this instance, they're coming in straight on to the existing reception desk. And so that reception desk will be able to service people, or at minimum, see them and guide them towards.
So your hope is that they would wander down the hall and get to the other end?
This is still the
But-
location for check-in, but we're not adding another reception desk.
So this is my concern. It's more an operational concern, actually, than this, but,
It'll be a question.
okay, a question.
It's question.
Will anybody be
question time.
monitoring the door to make sure that the people who come in
They'll be
will
able to
have
see.
this?
They'll be able to see this door, and they couldn't in the previous iteration.
Okay.
Which was a concern of mine.
All right. And one other question. I can't tell from this what the width of the building is.
The width of the building.
My copy is so small.
75 feet, 10 inches.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Hi.
My name is Geraldine Lear. I live at South Park Street, 48 South Park Street in Montclair. Am I correct? I'm having trouble. I'm old, and I couldn't see on my cell phone, and they've taken this down. When I am inside the building, am I able to see? I'm in front of the dry bar
You're in front of the
on
dry bar.
Valley Road. Am I able to see into the pool?
If you are between the street and the pool in the area where the dry bar is, you can see into the pool.
Because you mentioned in your testimony last week, or whenever it was, that you were trying to protect the privacy of little swimmers. So now you have an unmanned entrance. Whoever that is, and I assume you're speaking about nefarious individuals, can take a right rather than going straight to the whole opposite end of the building to the reception desk. Somebody could take a right. Who's manning that part? And you're offering him a restroom, he or she, a restroom on the way in. They can take a right and see right into the pool. They don't have to stand on their tippy toes, and it's
I mean, the distance between where you come in now and the reception desk is, one, it's a straight line. So you're going to see everybody that comes in, and it's not that different than the length of this building.
Mhm.
Operationally, at least, my partners at SwimQuest, we went over this at length,
Mhm.
don't see a concern with people coming in, making a right, and simply not knowing that that ever happened. People would come into this and check in. This is also their plan, there will be parents there, there will be other people within that lobby.
Right, but I don't think it's the parents, is it the parents' responsibility to man the whole Valley Road side of your operation?
It's not the parents' responsibility, but I think they add a second layer of, deterrence for someone to be, we're talking about nefarious people here.
Mhm.
You can see this entrance when people come in. It would be
You can
easy
see it,
to
but you're also
understand
dealing
that
with-
that person, it doesn't have business in the space.
I understand that, but if you are the young woman or man at the reception desk, and you're dealing with people checking in, people asking about classes, people saying they lost their swim goggles, people wanting a makeup class, I'm not, are you going to have cameras?
There will be cameras, sure.
Mhm. I don't think they're going to, will they be able to watch them 100% of the time?
I don't know how they're going to watch the cameras, but what you're suggesting is an issue that would happen in any building of this size and this orientation. It's a staffing issue. It was of utmost concern to the SwimQuest operators, and the only way we were able to tie the front and the rear facade together was to create this corridor of visibility. Doing that, I believe, addresses your concern. I understand you remain concerned, but I believe that it does address that concern because there are people here that can now see the comings and goings of both entrances.
And the operator will appear at a subsequent hearing to testify, presumably can give some testimony about this issue?
Yes.
Yep.
And what is a dry bar?
Dry bar is where they dry their hair.
Wow, you're really, how creative.
It is. I mean, it's literally a bar full of hair dryers, and it's where they dry their hair.
Okay, so we're, okay, I'll give my statement later.
Yep, well, that'll be at the next hearing.
Okay, let me just make sure I don't have anything else. Why are you not putting it if you have an entrance? And what is to say that this owner, after okay, you owner, Mr. Owner, after a month in business, decide you don't like that people using it? It looks like an entrance. It's been enhanced to look like an entrance. What is to prevent you from putting a sign on the door saying, please enter in the back?
Once a building is built and operating, I don't want to be disingenuous and say that there's no ability for anybody to deviate from what they applied to, but it would be equally as easy for Janice to call me and say that I violated what I offered to do, and what I put on the record would be our operation. So the trust in this comes from the meeting minutes and the resolution, and I fully anticipate that this board would make it a requirement for me, perhaps conditionally, that this entrance be open as whenever this entrance is open, and we're prepared to commit to that.
And do you think that people on, knowing that there's an entrance on Valley Road, people double park in front of the Starbucks, people double park in front of the post office? What's to say that?
I remain concerned about that. That's why we had the entrance in the rear, but I'm
Well,
trying to do
I remain
what's
concerned
right
as
between
well,
the two.
and it seems to me that you're trying to put a very large, unsafe square into a small round hole. I want every child to learn to swim.
Is that the question? Is that the
Don't-
question, that are you putting a?
Do we all want children to learn to swim? Yes.
Well, about his testimony.
Yeah, this is a compromise. I mean, this is a compromise between two objectives that it seemed as though were in conflict with one another, which was a public safety objective from the fire department and for parking and egress and ingress, and from a planning perspective, which is to activate the storefronts and create a lively, vibrant, front of house. As a result, we tried to create something that married as much of those two things as we could together, and this is how we got there. I don't know that there's a way to activate the front, keep it open, and simultaneously promise everybody that no one will ever double park. I don't think that that's I hope that doesn't happen. We're going to do everything in our power not to make that happen. But this is a compromise of two competing objectives.
Do you think it would be wiser to try and put a swim school with people entering and exiting every 30 minutes in a less congested place?
I don't think people entering and exiting every 30 minutes is unique to a swim school.
But
I think
that
that's
whole class at a time will be entering and exiting. No?
I mean,
It's a
there's-
question.
There's
Thank you.
lunchtime.
Getting good at
there's
this.
dinner
You're getting the hang of
time,
it.
There are appointments, there's yoga classes. I don't think it's unique to this operation. In fact, I think this operation from on a per square foot basis is far less intense than other things that could occur on this. So my answer is no. I don't think that this is the wrong place for this type of use.
Do I disagree with you? Yes.
Well, you have to ask him questions. You can't ask yourself questions
Can
here.
you tell I disagree with you?
Tell you this.
Can I relate it to that same testimony? Can you speak very briefly to, because you mentioned the classes, how many students are likely to be
That's
per
going to come
group?
from the Swim Quest operator, who, again, we had to switch things up tonight
I
a little bit
understand.
on our order. He's going to come in and talk about how many classes, maximum number of kids in
Great.
a class, number of instructors per student.
Got it? I'll wait for that.
I
Thank you.
called the Swim Quest in Milburn and got those numbers.
But we can't.
I can't put them in as a question.
Correct.
It's a lot.
Well, they'll have testimony of what they expect here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lisa Ann Renner. I'm in Godfrey Road, walking distance from your project. I had a question about the exterior lighting. On the plan, it mentioned LED lighting, which in the first two renderings, it shows the LED lighting outlining the wave design. On the April rendering, it sort of looks like LED lighting is still outlining the waves on the side of the building, but is it also doing that on the front of the building?
It is. We were in a time crunch to get a submission in on time for the requirement to be submitted to the board, so we didn't do further dusk renderings that show that elimination, but it's proposed under the wave on each.
Okay, because I know I had read the comments by the Historic Preservation Commission, which specifically said they didn't like the LED lighting, but why did you decide not to respond to that concern?
I don't know that I specifically intended not to respond to that concern. There is ambient LED lighting pervasive in the Upper Montclair zone. It's not a specific historical preservation concern in any of the documents. They didn't love it, but we changed the facade kind of dramatically enough that I felt as though that it remains appropriate for how the building has evolved since that meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Hi,
Hello.
my name's Anne Marie Nardone. I've been a business owner in Montclair for 40 years. Anne Marie Nardone. I do not live in Montclair, but I have worked here since I was 21. That's only like 5 years ago. I'm not real good about putting it into questions, so stop me
Just
if I
try
make
your
a
best if you
mistake.
can, and I'll help coach you through it.
Okay, 'cause I wrote a lot of stuff down. I do own a business right across the street from where this is going to be, and obviously we know parking is a thing, but we're not talking about that. What I would want to know is that, do you live in Montclair?
I do.
Okay. Do you feel that that look of that looks historic?
I don't.
Okay. Because I'm not going to do that.
Thank you. So you're doing fine so far.
Okay. Do you think that there's been thoughtfulness in sustainability and how this is going to affect the other small businesses in the area?
I have thought about how it affects the other small businesses. I'm not sure I understand your question about sustainability.
How do you think that it's going to affect the way the other businesses are run with the congestion? Can I say that?
With-
I have a difference of opinion than some
Yeah, no, that's
people
fine.
who have, sorry, thank you. I think this is a great ancillary use in the Upper Montclair Business District. I think that what it does is, the idea of why we redesigned these facades to be more activated and engaging is because the idea behind the master plan of the Upper Montclair Business District is to drive more people to the Upper Montclair Business District. So when we talk about how it's the Yogi Berra-ism, nobody goes there anymore, it's too busy, right? When we talk about what our intent is here, it's to drive families who are teaching their kids to school to a place where they are serviced by the other businesses that are in town. I think it's part of the reason people will choose to send their kids to this swim school as opposed to a swim school out of town or in a different location. And I think that in practicality, it will do that. I think that people will, whether or not it's during the class itself, I've seen comments that no parent is going to leave the class, or whether or not it's before and after. I have a niece and a nephew, I don't have kids, but I don't leave an activity with my 10-year-old and my 12-year-old niece and nephew without consuming something. I have to buy something when I'm with them. And the idea is that this will hopefully, and I mean that genuinely, hopefully drive people to your business and to other people's business in town, or sorry, in Upper Montclair, as a byproduct of bringing their kids to swim here, and that's why people will choose the location itself.
Okay. Is this a franchise?
It's not a franchise, but there are more than one location.
There are more. So they're individually owned, but it's kind of like a franchise?
Owned by the same company.
The same company owns them, okay. So it's kind of like a franchise. Kind of. I'm not saying it is.
Not a franchise, though.
Why would you put something here if you knew that it didn't fit the zoning to begin with? Why would you put something here if it didn't fit the zoning to begin with? Like, why to have to get a variance if you know you really, really need one?
I don't need a use variance, so it does fit the approved uses in the zone. It is similar to other uses in the zone. There are not just educational play centers, which this falls under, of which there's at least one with Kidville and other ones that have a similar operational behavior in that zone. But there are also other class-based businesses in that area for adults. There's yoga studios, there's dance studios, there's other things that operate similarly to this. So I disagree with the premise that this is not approved in this zone.
Okay.
It requires two variances, one of which nearly anything that went on here would require, which is the impervious coverage variance.
Right.
And the second is parking, which again, many businesses, I mean, we'll have more parking spaces on site than nearly any business in Upper Montclair.
But we can't talk about parking, right?
Well, I mean, it's questions about his testimony.
Right.
He did raise
How many,
parking.
I didn't read the whole thing about the minutes for the last one. How many parking spaces will there be?
There would be 11 on site, and closing the drive-through, closing the second driveway, the second ingress or egress onto Valley Road would allow us to put, I'm going to let Jerry testify to this, I think it's one or two more municipal spaces on the front of the building towards the south.
Okay. You want to? Okay. Will the classes be overlapping?
The classes themselves won't overlap.
Not necessarily the classes themselves, but will kids still be there when the other classes come in? So there'll be double the amount. I know we don't know the amount of people yet, but there'll be double the amount at some time?
I think that's fair to say.
Okay. Coffee bar? Did you say there'd be a coffee bar?
There's a coffee station for,
Okay.
for parents and for people, instructors.
Passes. Is it really just about filling the space? I know that you own other property in Montclair. That's wonderful. A lot of, development in places that really needed it. But is it just about filling that space? Couldn't you thought of a better thing to put there that would fit the area better? Let's put it that way.
I didn't think of a better thing.
Okay, so this was from the get-go. And now if this doesn't make it?
As a swim school once it's built?
Yes.
I testified in the previous hearing, I know you
Okay,
said
I was
you
not
weren't
here. Yeah.
that the building was designed in a way where it can be converted to retail use without tearing it down and starting over. Retail use, that would require site plan approval from me, so I would have to come back.
But you would still keep it?
You could still keep this building.
Not me,
in an
you.
addendum.
You would keep it? Or would you sell it?
I can't hypothesize into the future.
Well, I'm just saying,
but
if it
I have no
fails,
intentions of selling it.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where would you stand? That's my
I have
question.
no intentions of selling it.
Okay. That was about the billing. The other thing about where the people were talking about somebody being there, obviously a lot of little kids hanging around. I know you saying a lot of this will be the instructors or the architect or all the other people that have to answer the questions that obviously are not here or are not going to answer tonight. So I'm assuming we're going to have another meeting.
There's going to be another.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you too.
Hi, my name is Jerry Bloom. I live on North Mountain Avenue, not far from where you're going to have this. I just want to do a couple of follow-up questions on the dry bar.
Sure.
So I gather the dry bar was put in because the town asked you to have more activity seen from the street through the window. Was that
No,
it?
it was in the previous iteration, but not visible from the front. It was in the back of the building.
Right. So but you needed to put something in the windows that was active.
We moved it.
Right. So, and when I first heard you mention dry bar, I kind of thought it was a non-alcoholic beverage thing. And then you explained it's kids blowing their hair dry?
Parents blowing their kids' hair dry and kids blowing their hair dry. It exists at all the other swim class locations.
It does. This is something that you have at other locations.
I'm not a partner in the other locations,
But
my
other
partner's
swim
Swim
clubs
Quest,
have
this particular
kids drying their
operator
hair in the
has-
front window.
Yes.
Okay. And again, this was to make the town more comfortable that there was an interesting activity, I guess, in the windows.
Moving it was so that we could remove what was an opaque film
Right.
on a percentage of the glass.
Yeah.
And we no longer need that opaque film because we
Okay.
moved operations that were internal from the rear to the front. So we didn't add anything for this.
Right.
It's just a shift in how the building operates.
Right.
But now, all of the public parts of the building that are not access controlled, like the pool,
Right.
are visible from Valley, including the lobby with the koi pond and the fish tank,
Right.
as well as this area here, which includes a dry bar, coffee station, and, parent waiting area and things of that sort.
Interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Frank Rabacki, 398 Upper Mountain Avenue in Montclair. I think I'm prohibited from complimenting you. There are only questions, so I'll stick to questions.
Thank you. You know the drill here.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry I missed the beginning of the meeting, so if I cover ground that you've already covered, but I still need to know. Could we start with the front of the building and the sign location that I saw on the April submission? Is the sign still there?
So the resubmission includes the sign in the location that is above the awning on the upper part of the building under the wave. However, since that submission, which had to be in 10 days ahead of the meeting, there's been some internal discussion that Ms. Wallace also brought up, which was trying to emphasize the southernmost storefront and differentiate it from the rest of the storefront. And one of the ideas was to bring that sign, put a sign band over the glass, like 2 rails of metal, and put the sign there. And my partners, the operators on this, are amenable to that, and I imagine it will be part of a revised submission before our next meeting.
Would you be concerned that having the sign on the left side of the building by the entrance will indicate to people that I'm sorry. No, where did we get this from, like 1970?
Our normal microphone broke earlier today, so that's what we have. If you need to slide it out of the holder, if that's easier for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nothing's easy with me. Thank you. Are you concerned that having the sign band over the door or to the left of the door towards Talbot's would indicate to visitors that the Talbot's driveway is the entrance driveway?
I had not been concerned until you brought that up, but it's a reasonable question.
Okay. Going back to the sign itself, where it's proposed, is that, I pointed this out, but is that on the parapet?
I think it's underneath where the actual parapet starts from a height perspective, but there's no differentiation on the parapet from the exterior wall. You can only see it from the interior.
But the code says.
Yeah, I mean, again,
Okay.
I believe this will be amended before our.
Okay, so it won't be in conflict, you won't need a variance or a waiver to put it there because it's on the parapet, or part of it's on the parapet.
Assuming it moves from the parapet and assuming that it's on the parapet currently, it will be revised not to be, or we
Okay.
will ask for a waiver if there's a reason that we need to. But right now, this is a point of conversation internally that I think will change to address your concern.
Is the canopy something that you find an enhancement, or it's a response to the HPC that you put the canopy on the front full length of the building?
I think it's both. One of the conversations with this architect when we started, this architect has done other work for SwimQuest in the past, and starts with a prototype and what their vision is. One of the comments that I had to the architect when we started was to create dimensionality on that front facade. We talked about base detail, we talked about there being dimension. I think the canopy growth from what it originally started at was more of a reaction to the HPC, but I also think that it enhanced the building. So I'd like to take credit for it as if it were my idea from the beginning to have it designed exactly this way.
Don't.
But it was, its current form was started with my input and resolved itself with the HPC's input.
Okay, and then the columns on the side of the the imitation columns on the side of the building?
Same answer. I liked the idea of the
Okay.
dimensionality, but the
No, I
HPC
wasn't asking the same question.
The
no.
HPC pointed it out.
When you turn the corner, is there any similar treatment on the corner of the building? If you turn to either north facade or the south facade, is it only on the east facade?
It's only on the east facade.
So it's architecturally a device for the front of the facade. It's not for something in the building.
That's
Okay. Would you consider putting, your signage in the back is simple compressed font lettering, very longitudinal. Would you consider some kind of effect across the awning, pin mounted or mounted in some way? A smaller scale, it probably wouldn't be more than a couple of, 4 or 5 inches high, but would you consider that as an alternative to addressing the entrance issue being
Yes.
left or right? Okay. And then the window treatment, hate it, but getting to the questions, are you concerned about the northeast corner of the building where the window seems, the window, whatever you call the system, is so close to the curb, considering weather conditions? Is that something that is desirable, or is it a reaction to having symmetry across the front of the building? In other words, the bottom of your window is what, maybe 6 inches off the ground at that point?
I mean, it is. It's tempered glass. We have this condition in other sites in Montclair where there's a very small base detail, some sort of masonry base detail, and glass, close to the ground. But again, a lot of the window sizing was in reaction to the 60% requirement.
We're going to get there on that one. Architecturally, is there any building in the Upper Montclair Business District that has that kind of treatment so close, where the glass is so close to the ground architecturally? Most of them have some kind of base, middle,
I
top.
don't know the answer well enough to answer that.
The 60%, I pushed in the last meeting for more glass. You kind of took it to a whole nother level. How did you interpret the 60% ordinance? In other words, let me be clear.
Yeah.
You interpreted the entire facade had to be 60%, or the
We asked
pedestrian.
for clarification, and Janice confirmed that it is the entire facade has to be.
That's how it's written. I understand that. Can you shed it, can I ask her a question? Can you shed any light on how the town views that ordinance, or how the planning department views that ordinance? Because maybe 50% of Upper Montclair would comply with that ordinance on a good day. I mean, mostly, and the reason why, and let me just elaborate why I'm asking it that way, is the 60% from a practical point of view is for a pedestrian experience, and usually it's below a canopy or below a sign band. This ordinance seems to say, if you're 3 stories of commercial, you have to have 60% all the way up to the top, right?
I don't know if your microphone's on, Ms. Talley, but.
Yes, that's correct.
And then the way around it would be a minor waiver.
Right.
It's just basically the board would say in this
Design waiver,
circumstance,
yes.
a design waiver, it's not a big deal, we just don't see it as applicable, correct?
I didn't hear
That
what
the
you.
60% does not need to be applicable for the entire facade. That would be the choice of the planning board, if they asked for the waiver.
I can't tell you what the choice of the
If the
planning board is.
applicant asked for a waiver.
Which they did at the last hearing. I mean, they
Yeah.
were talking about a design waiver.
Right. But if they asked for a waiver, still asked for the waiver, but it was, they had 60% below the sign band, below the canopy, that's still a waiver that they would be asking for, correct?
That's correct.
That's where you should go.
Hard to imagine a historic building with 60% of the entire facade being glass.
Any contemporary building would not meet that standard. Gap, supermarkets, CVS. Anyway, the wave. Do you feel that wave has kind of like lost its relevancy, being compressed?
I don't.
Okay. Would you consider, if you could get a design waiver, reverting back to a lower level of glass, pushing the canopy back down and increasing the size of the wave? If you could get the design waiver for the glass?
I would consider it. I would hope that the board would ask me that rather than me go redesign the building again.
Yeah, 4 times the charm.
But yes, I would consider that.
Okay. As far as the LED issue, the way, you can't tell in this drawing, this rendering, but in the prior renderings, you have a distinctly different wave pattern on the front than you now have on the sides. And I don't know if you have one on the back. I think you have one on the back. And there are multiple waves, and then you have this middle wave that kind of cuts up. Well, you have 2 things. You have the leftmost wave that's doing a double dip with LED under that. Then you have a middle wave with another LED backlighting, and then the final wave that's truncated and compressed on the corner there. I'm not sure why it's even there. Would you consider redesigning or reconfiguring the waves, especially the leftmost, the Talbot side wave, so that you could eliminate part of that LED treatment in the middle of the building, so it wasn't so busy? It was a cleaner, simpler look, that you could still have the LED underlighting, but not cutting up to the roof line, to the...
I would consider that.
Okay. And I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So going back to the lighting, can we, either you're submitting something different, but if you're submitting this again, can we get a more accurate representation of how the lighting will look?
We can do a dusk rendering.
Thank you.
Hello, is that
Hi.
working? Okay.
Yep.
My name
perfectly.
is Laura Almasi, and I live at 33 Northview Avenue, which is about a block away from this proposed project. I actually only learned about this detail this evening, but I'm just curious to know, first of all, Mr. Genova, are you a parent?
I'm not.
Have you thought about the notion that small children are going to be on display in the front window of your property, getting themselves, like drying their hair and performing kind of like personal caretaking activities?
We have. I mean, that was what, originally, this dry bar was not visible from the street. The dry bar was in the rear, and the pool was slid up to the front. The pool is 4 feet down in grade from this. That's why there are steps down. There were comments and questions at the last meeting about how to activate the front. There are only two things that occur in the public-facing parts of this building. There's a lobby for parents to come and check in. There's a place for parents to wait for their kids, and there's an area for kids to dry their hair. The changing rooms are not visible from the street, and they're not facing the street, so there's no potential for those changing rooms to open accidentally and there be visibility to the street. So kids, when they're drying their hair, I don't know that that's different than like Supercuts or any of the places that have, that have open windows and have kids getting their hair cut or drying their hair. This is more of a place for parents to be while their kids are in the school, and there is a short period of time where kids are getting ready and a short period of times when kids are getting back into their daily,
I wasn't touching it.
And back to leaving the pool, and both of those things are now occurring more in the public view than they were previously.
Trying to think how to phrase this. I hope you're willing to consider that there might be parents that are uncomfortable with encouraging their kids to engage in personal appearance-related or grooming activities in a public window. And I don't know, I guess my question is, can you see how that might make someone feel uncomfortable?
I spoke at
Thank
length
you.
at the last meeting about some of the privacy concerns. This solves the privacy concerns from our side operationally because you're not seeing into the pool, which is what would have been the case if we had taken off
But
that.
I guess, have you considered that parents may just generally not want their children on display?
I guess I have considered that. I don't think that this is not an invasive thing that you're looking at.
Have you considered
I don't know how many more ways to
that
answer.
there may be people who disagree with your perspective on that?
I imagine there are people who disagree.
Thank you.
I noticed that there's one shower. Is that true?
There is one shower.
Okay, I can wait till the operation team is up and talk about that.
Hi, I'm Alexis Burek. I live at 47 Forest Street. I'm the parent of very young children who are probably like the target for this. I also have a child that attends Bloom, so I am in this space several times a week and have some concerns about the area for that, but learning more about what's actually going to be inside the building. Could you describe a little bit more about the locker room situation and what is available within the locker rooms? Is it separated by genders? Is there an all-family locker room? How does that work within the space?
I'm going to let the operating partner of the swim school corporate entity, who's going to be operating this one, speak at the next meeting. And he's going to go through all the details from check-in to number of kids in a class to how their other locations operate, and he can testify to that more than I can.
Okay, thank you. In terms of the building itself, how stroller friendly is it, and how much has that played into the design?
It's very stroller friendly if you use the rear entrance. The front entrance does have a grade change that's accomplished by stairs.
Oh.
So the rear entrance, which is on the parking side of it, is the ADA entrance to the building, which
Okay.
simultaneously serves to accommodate parents with strollers. But strollers are an operational thing that SwimQuest deals with at their other locations. And it was one of the things we talked about early on in this process with the architect.
Okay, sounds good. And then in terms of the actual flow of traffic around the building, I'm new to all of this and learning. Has there been a full traffic study done prior to all of your submissions for permits and things like that of the entire area and not just your physical site? Or has the traffic study been sort of only about the site itself?
So it's a parking study that we did. We're not asking for a use variance. And as a result of not asking for a use variance, it being an approved use in the zone, the assumption is that the ancillary streets that service this lot can accommodate the uses that are approved in the zone. So there's not a traffic study per se on traffic. The parking study does address the number of cars that are anticipated as part of the parking study. And that will be presented at the next meeting.
Okay.
In terms of circulation around the site, if you hang out, our civil engineer is up next, and he's going to talk about the physical aspects of the site as a whole.
Okay.
But I hope that answers your question.
It sort of does. I just, as like a follow-up, it's a more philosophical question, but how does parking for one area assume that the other areas can absorb the parking?
The parking part of it, that's covered will be covered by our parking experts.
And
so he's done an
next time.
analysis of existing lots, capacity
Got
in those
it,
lots,
okay.
times, peak times, during school, off school, all of those things.
Okay.
And he'll testify what his findings are when he's up at the next meeting.
Okay.
I wanted to be clear that there's a differentiation between that study and a traffic study.
Right, yes.
But yes, we are going to talk about the availability of spaces at various times during the day, at various days during the week, and at various months during the year.
Okay, so there's been a more holistic
Correct.
study of the area
Yes.
with numbers and data and all that kind of good stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just really
Mr.
quickly.
Hernandez.
Will you be submitting that parking study to the board for review prior to the next hearing?
We will be.
Okay. Thank
I
you.
think, right? We're planning to, yeah.
Yep.
Good evening. I'm Lenny Anlinger. I live on Cooper Avenue for 40 years. I've been pretty straight shot down my block to see your building. First of all, I want to thank you all because you volunteer a lot of time for our community, and I really appreciate it. I have at times been more involved in the community. You just made a comment about that the ancillary community will be able to support this.
I just said we've studied it. I'm not going to testify to the actual report itself.
Okay. Well, I beg to differ. We're packed.
This is time for questions.
Okay. So I went online to see what the agenda was tonight, and this meeting was not on the agenda, and I really asked that you list, because how else will we know when we can come? I had to call the office, and they said, oh, it's the wrong meeting on that line, and it didn't list this particular property. And then the last meeting, there was a snowstorm, the meeting, you can't control it, the meeting before, it was so late in the evening that I want to be able to be here. I want to be able to give my comments. I am very concerned about this property. And I know that's not what we're talking about, but at some point, you need to let the neighbors come in and say, we're squishing something into
Well,
a
hang on,
space.
comments will come later at a different
Yes,
hearing.
But how will I know?
Well, it sounds like there was a clerical error in posting the agenda, but the agendas are typically posted with, the applicants that will be heard. Sometimes changes do happen last minute, whether it's weather, sometimes
No,
the
you
applicant
can't control it.
cancels.
You can't control it.
And I know it's frustrating from the public side.
It is.
And it,
It
it's also
Because
frustrating
this is
from.
designed by committee. I mean, you're going full force ahead, designing this property and changing it according to, and yet you still have not had the chance for the public to comment on the overall use.
Correct. Well, You're right, but we have to follow the municipal land use law, and
Yes.
that's what dictates how
Right.
we go about this. So it's not that I want to be a pain up here and say, I need your questions, I need your questions.
Yes.
That's what the law requires us to do to maintain this quasi-judicial setting that I mentioned in my opening remarks. So as much as it would be.
You have a very hard job.
Yes, and it's equally frustrating for us when there's changes last minute as well, because we spend, time over the weekends and nights
Yes.
and early mornings studying and preparing questions. And so we also get frustrated when the meeting changes, but I think
Okay.
we've probably learned to
Well,
live with it a little
Thank
bit.
you. I look forward to having the
Yeah,
opportunity.
and hopefully
to
next
speak my
time
mind.
it'll be a lot more clear.
Okay,
That's our goal.
And just to reiterate, we will give the date at the end of the meeting tonight to which this public hearing will be continued. So there's no surprise as to when this will be on the next agenda.
Thank you.
Mr. Rabacki. Sure.
Two quick follow-ups. I understand you're increasing the impervious coverage from what you originally submitted to 97%. Is there a configuration for this lot where you could have basically the same lot, the same parking, equal or better traffic drop-off and loading capabilities? Would there be a configuration that would deliver that besides the configuration that we're looking at today?
I don't believe that there is, well, you started by talking about the impervious. If you meant, is there
a way to
orientation-
increase, I'm sorry, let me rephrase, or make clear. Is there a way to increase the pervious coverage, reduce the impervious by taking the empty lot and reconfiguring the needs that you've outlined in your plan as far as parking, drive capacity, sidewalks, et cetera, et
I'm
cetera?
gonna
In other
let-
words, if you could move the building around somewhere on the lot, would you get improvement in impervious?
I'm going to let the civil engineer talk more about the impervious, but a major component of the impervious is that the right-of-way is included in our calculation, and the right-of-way is 100% impervious because it includes the sidewalk and part of Valley Road. So,
I'm sorry, I missed that one. The property line goes into the
the property line is the center of Valley.
line of the Valley Road.
Yes.
So we're counting,
So there's like 30-something hundred square feet that is 100% impervious that I have no control over.
so the increase is due to including the center line?
Again, I'm going to let our
Okay.
civil engineer introduce the way that the site flows and give the basis for the impervious coverage.
Okay.
But there is a large portion of the site that is impervious by right-of-way to the township.
Thank you. And then the second question is, you're asking for a parking variance and you're asking for an impervious variance. Is there another variance that you could ask for, such as setback or front yard parking, where you could improve on the callouts or the concerns you heard tonight asked of you in the form of questions?
The building could physically be set back on the site, triggering what would be a front yard parking variance. Parking in the front yard is something that the site could physically accommodate. I don't know that it necessarily resolves some of the issues with the fire department, who were clear about where they wanted the building on the site.
Okay.
But I do agree, the answer is yes, the building could be placed differently on the site, but it would trigger other variances.
Okay, so the fire department needs are a factor in the approval of this application.
They were a factor in our design intent and how we designed the building.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Warren Ross. I own the building in Upper Montclair Plaza. There's 6 tenants that are there. I'm a little confused about the parking survey that you said will be coming next meeting. Will that parking survey include analysis of what is now the parking situation in Upper Montclair Plaza?
It will, as well as other surface lots that are in the neighborhood that serve to fulfill the parking needs of the various Upper Montclair businesses.
And are we, as tenants and owners of the buildings around there, are we permitted to get our own survey and present it to the community? I mean, we're in a chaotic situation in Upper Montclair Plaza. I mean, there's car
Well, I
accidents
think
almost every day. Can
without
we
getting too
do
far
that?
without getting too far into comments, yes, you are. You can, present your own survey. Do they need to be represented by council in order to do that? No.
Just as long as whoever
Just
conducts
make
it-
sure your microphone's on, please.
Whoever conducts the survey is a professional and can be questioned as a professional. You don't need an attorney to do that.
Okay.
So you could bring in your own parking professional to do that study, and they would be cross-examined just like all of their witnesses.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the public for this witness?
You love me, I know that. My name is Arlene. I own New Valley One Savvy Design.
Can I have your name again?
Arlene Carini.
Can you spell your last name?
You know who I am. I'm on all the emails. Carrini. I own New Valley One Savvy Design at 629B Valley Road. So I'm their least favorite person because I speak for a group, not the entire group, but for a group of people that are not happy about the swim school.
But this is about questions.
Yes,
you know
and I'm
this.
getting to my questions. So I just want to ask, can I ask Mr. Turbulak a question?
You could try. We'll see if he can answer.
Okay. Mr. Turbulak, were you the town attorney who helped draft the ordinances with Janice Talley?
I drafted ordinances.
I would
don't
assume so.
recall drafting.
Mr. Neese?
Drafted
Yeah.
amendments to zoning ordinances from time to time, certainly did not have any substantial involvement in drafting.
No, but you know what the ordinances are in town.
I know what the ordinances are that I need to know.
Right. Okay. So can you explain how asking for a variance for an ordinance that you created is not
I didn't create.
contradictional?
I didn't create the parking ordinance.
You didn't,
The
okay.
parking ordinance has been in place for about, to my knowledge, at least 30 years and has not been updated
Okay.
or revised in any significant way in the
Okay.
past 3 decades.
Well, I
That much
appreciate
I
you
know.
explain. Okay, good. So that's good to know. But my question is, isn't the zoning board supposed to approve the parking variances?
No.
To my understanding, it's out of the planning board's jurisdiction to approve.
That's not correct.
That's
The
not
planning board
correct.
grants parking variances all the time. They have the right to do that in connection with a site plan application such as this, or a subdivision application.
But this application never went to the zoning board.
Right, because it's the jurisdiction for this application.
But why didn't it go to the zoning board?
Because it was determined that the use that's proposed is permitted.
By
And it-
one person?
Okay, I'm done answering questions.
Okay.
The only person that matters made that decision.
Oh, so only one person versus a
Yeah,
whole board?
Okay.
So I just want to understand, because there is
You
a
can
whole
ask-
entire board, right? There's a whole board here, but one person, Janice Talley, made a decision,
No, I don't-
administrative
I don't-
decision.
I don't think
it was
that's
Ms. Talley.
correct.
Well, that's what's been told to all of
By
us.
who? No, I
There's
don't think
false
that's
information out there.
correct. That's not what was
Okay.
testified to and discussed at the last
Okay.
hearing that you were at.
Okay, because.
Moreover, your questions should be limited to his testimony.
Okay. So, David, does it sound excessive that the previous building that's there on Valley Road, it was 1,600 square feet, and you want to replace it with a 7,700 square foot building, asking for multiple variances because the impervious coverage is at 95%, 95.5% of the property?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, because that's what's on public
Oh, no,
record.
no, you asked if I thought it was excessive.
Oh,
I
you don't
I
think it's excessive? Okay. Okay, so let me ask you another question. Where's the dumpster going to go on the lot?
There's very little trash generated by this operation.
Okay.
So it will go in the trash room and be taken out for pickup. There's
Okay,
no-
so you
there's
don't
no
have a
exterior
dumpster, okay.
dumpster proposed.
Will there be a handicap spot on premises?
There is a handicap spot on premises.
Okay, well, that's good. Is there a variance for the easement of the 15% grade into the parking lot that is more than 10% that the town allows?
Our civil engineer is going to testify to the site work, but I don't believe that that site is 15% grading.
Okay. Are the pillars in the front of the building load-bearing for a second floor?
No.
Okay. You said in your testimony previously that parents are to help man the areas, but you also said in a previous meeting that you were hoping that parents would patronize the local businesses. So how are they supposed to man your business and come visit me at my store?
I didn't say they would man it. I said they would act as a deterrent. They're likely to be in the space some amount of parents, and I believe that will act as a natural deterrent. And if we've had this, you and I have had this conversation about patronizing other businesses. I don't limit the ability for parents to patronize that business in my calculation as to the 30 minutes that they're in there with their kids. I believe some amount of them will leave for older kids and go and patronize the Upper Montclair businesses. I believe some amount of them will do that before or after their class. I did state earlier that I'm an uncle while I'm not a parent, and that I have a very hard time leaving my 10, 12-year-old without buying something, and that has been the case since they were learning how to swim. And as so, that is my only experience with taking care of children, or my niece and my nephew. But as a result of that, I buy a lot of ice cream cones. I go get a lot of haircuts. We've done that, and I believe that this will work. And by the logic that they're going to watch the kids swim and not patronize the businesses, that's like saying that during a movie at the Bellevue, we expect people to get up and go buy a coffee, when we know that they're watching the movie. They're going to do that before and they're going to do that afterwards. Anchor tenants behave that way often.
Okay. Did you know that I went to the Milburn location and sat there for 2 hours and watched parents not come in and out?
I didn't know that, no.
Yeah. So I sat there, and another person who's not here today.
Is this going to be a question?
Oh, it's a question. So did you know that parents do not come out because the swim school urges parents to stay there and watch their children?
Again, I think it's part of an ecosystem. I don't think it's necessarily that every parent will drop their kid off and immediately go and leave the premises. I think some will, especially for older kids. And I believe that before and after this, it's a reason that they're going to choose this swim school. I believe that. I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen when this is approved. I can't predict other people's behavior, but I do firmly believe that the reason this will be successful is because people will be excited by your business, other people's businesses in this room, and the various other uses that are around there, and it will make people say, I would love to sign my kid up for a swim school in Upper Montclair because I get to the experience of going to Jackie's Grillette and One Savvy Design and Java Love, and I do think that will happen, yes.
Okay. So your entrance is all in the back?
No, we have an entrance on the front.
No, but we talked about like how you have your whole basically check-in system is in the back. Is there a reason?
There's an entrance on the front. and
But
an
nobody's
entrance on-
checking in, right?
No, you just walk to the reception desk.
No, so let me get to what I'm trying to ask you. Why not just move the reception area to the front, your little storefront to the front, move everything back so it alleviates all the issues that are going on about peeping toms and people watching kids and so forth, and it alleviates people, that back door could be like an emergency exit for people to exit if they want to exit because they're parked back there, but they come in through the front entrance.
Because the fire department asked us not to.
But a lot of people have asked you to not do things and you still do them.
The fire department asked us
So in
not
this
to.
case, it works in your
In
favor.
this- Not in my favor, it's designed to their requirements.
Yeah,
I mean,
but-
they asked me specific, they have one thing in their memo, which is drive people to the rear. We've tried to accomplish a compromise, and I'm saying that specifically because I believe it to be a compromise where now you can come in on both, but driving the entire activity to the front conflicts with what the fire department's memo was, and I'm not prepared to do that.
So like, can I just show it to you on your, is this your rendering?
This is the first floor.
This is the front, right?
Correct.
Valley Road. So what if people come into here, into the front of your building, park, go and drop off their kids.
Wait, where are they parking?
I guess wherever your spots are.
They're here.
They're here. This is
They're-
the back of the building, facing the Montclair
This is where the
Plaza.
parking spots are.
Okay. So what if, for example, you drove your kids, made your
I
kid
think,
and
can you hold the, we can't hear you. You have to
Oh,
hold
okay.
the,
I'm sorry.
the.
So it's just because there's a lot of people who have concerns about the way the front is and the retail space of it and all. And I think that that is a really good solution, is to bring everything forward and maybe push the pool back so that this way you don't have.
The pool is pushed back. The pool was on Valley Road. We pushed it back, and we put all of the public-facing activities to be accessible from Valley Road as a reaction to comment
To
from the
what?
public and to the planning board.
Okay,
So that was the intent of what we did. What we didn't do is move the reception desk from the rear or change the parking layout, which is why I'm calling what I think this revision is a compromise, because it drives vehicular traffic to the rear to prevent from queuing on the front, yet allows for pedestrian traffic to enter either on Valley or in the rear where they park.
Okay.
That was the intent of this revised.
I was just trying to figure out how you can make it safe for them not to come in through the front door. So if they had a front entrance.
It does.
No, I know, but people have to walk through all the way through, and just anybody, random person, can walk in without being checked
But
in.
that would happen in the rear if you moved the reception desk to the front. Like, I can't man every corner
But you're dealing with children.
I think appropriately. Right now, there's a full sight line from the reception desk to any place that anybody can get into this building. And that took a tremendous amount of brain power to try to redesign this in a way that could accomplish it. And we were able to accomplish that. I'm proud that we were able to accomplish that because I believe it's a good compromise.
Okay. And you're entitled to your opinion, of course.
As are you.
Okay. So, I have a lot of questions, but they're not obviously for here today. So I can't ask all those questions, but
If they're for me, this is probably the last time I'm testifying. So if you have
Okay.
questions for me, I would encourage you to ask them.
Does that mean the architect will come back the next time when you revise the plans?
If we revise the plans other than the sign, I mean, I don't know that I've heard anything that makes me think we should revise the plans other than the sign location.
I still think, in my opinion.
Well, is this a question?
And this is the question is, David, would you consider, I know you've probably done 1,000 revisions on this, would you do 1,001 and possibly consider having your check-in point in the front and not in the back of the building?
I'm not prepared to do that, no.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Genova, I have one question.
Yes.
Just to clarify, the area in the front of the building where you have the dry bar and the waiting area, the seating, that is below grade, isn't it, from the street?
It is slightly below grade, yes.
How many, just to help us visualize?
Five steps.
5 steps, so it's probably 4 feet below grade?
I think it's like, I don't know the actual.
All right. So if you have the dry bar, it's, people are sitting there, they're not going to be at the street level, they'll be below that. I'm trying to help visualize.
They're
how
not
this-
submerged, but
No.
they are lower than,
All right.
they're not sitting at street level, correct?
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
My name is Suzanne Neckerman. I own Get Dressed Montclair, 601 Valley Road. I have a general question, when to ask a question. Your whole plan says that you want to use over 90% of the whole space, and that's a lot more than is usually zoned, and I don't even know when to ask. Is this the time to ask, or is there a different time, or?
I'm not sure I understand the question to give you guidance on that.
The building will occupy almost 90% of the entire lot.
Is that, so in a question form,
Not
is
the
that
building.
correct?
The building won't. The site itself is over 90% impervious. The building does not occupy 90% of the site. But our civil engineer is going to come to testify about the need for the impervious coverage variance, and he's here now, so he'll do that after me. and you can ask him any questions you'd like
Okay,
about
so
how that
later
can
today?
happen. Later tonight.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yes, it has to be on the record. Again, I keep reiterating, it's quasi-judicial.
I get it.
We have to follow the municipal land use law, and that requires everything to be on record.
Anne Marie Nardone.
Thank you.
We're on the part. You said the question is that the fire department asked you not to. Did they make that rule? Like, is that their part of the job? It's my question, I don't know, to you or them.
If you're asking me how I came to that conclusion,
Right.
that's a little bit different than do they make the rule?
Right,
In
right.
terms of
Like, did they just ask you, or is
So-
it?
Well, let him
Yeah,
respond.
I testified to this at the last meeting, and I'm happy to reiterate points of it. When we got under contract for this site, I grew up in Montclair, I've lived in Montclair my whole life. I know this fire station, I know the level of activity that comes out of this fire station. So when we got under contract for this building, the first stakeholder that I interacted with was the deputy chief of the Montclair Fire Department. And I asked him specifically how I could develop this site in a way that was economically viable and that made sense in this district while accommodating whatever needs the fire department has and has become accustomed to, understanding that the fire department has no easement rights over our site. They don't have legal rights to use our site, to cross our site, or to do anything. And that the code allows for buildings to be built right up to the lot.
Right,
In
right.
the upper Montclair zone, there's no side yard setbacks. So I could have, if I hadn't asked him or if I didn't know that this was a challenge, built this building another, call it 25 feet closer to the fire department. And what he responded to me with were that he had really two issues. One was he wanted he wanted me to design something that didn't allow or didn't encourage queuing in front of the building. So I think he brought up restaurants, DoorDash, and he brought up Starbucks and what's going on at the Starbucks site. So that informed what kind of use I felt like was appropriate on the site. And the second thing he said, and he did not demand this, he didn't say you have no choice, and again, they don't have an easement. But the second thing he said was our back parking lot where personal vehicles of the fire department are stored is somewhat landlocked. There's only one way in and there's not a way out, so that in shift changes, if this building were to be built up to the fire department line, it would create a situation where he would likely have to close part of Valley Road in a shift change to get all the cars out and all the cars in. So because of those, and those were their two comments. So because of those two comments, which are reflected in the email that was sent to the planning department and is available online if you want to read it. The email is not the conversation I had, it was after the fact. They sent an email to the planning department. Because of that, the building sits where it sits, and the use and the kind of the way that the vehicular circulation flows encourages traffic to the rear of the site.
Okay. So that was the question, but it wasn't mandatory.
It's not
It was
no.
just a kindness that you were giving them.
It was a
Okay.
courtesy to the fire.
Right. So if so many people, a question, are against this, and neighborhood people and people in the community, do you feel that's going to affect people signing up to the swim school? Do many people have kids?
We have a tremendous amount of interest in this
Okay.
site since we announced our application.
Okay, and you mentioned that you can see from the front to the back, but it's a 7,000 square foot building. You can really see from the front to the back? People are saying the check-in part.
It's about 100 feet from the front to the rear.
Okay.
Again, I don't know the dimensionality of this room, but it's not significantly deeper than that. So yes, I do think you can see from the reception desk to the front door.
Does it have to be 7,000 square feet?
We've packed the building with what I think are the requirements for this type of use. There are a certain number of changing rooms, there are a certain number of restrooms that are required by code and practicality. There are areas of this space that are important to the operator. I don't believe that this particular space could shrink and accomplish the same goals.
Is there a certain amount of square footage that SwimQuest requires for you to open one?
They have more than one size in there. So their existing locations developed somewhat organically. The first one was an adaptive reuse of an 8,000 square foot, or just under 8,000 square foot synagogue in Milburn. So there was a previous use in the building. They bought the building, they adapted the building. That kind of was their first foray into swim schools. Since then, they've been in other locations that behave similarly and differently to what this one does and the way Milburn does. So they do have a larger prototype.
Okay.
But this represents
One of them.
One of the prototypes that they have. They don't have a smaller one.
Okay. Do you necessarily have to have a dry bar and a koi pond and a coffee bar?
Yeah, yes. I mean,
It's
that is
part of it?
That's part of the brand of the school.
Okay, my other question kind of might be for you and you. I know that the back of the Talbot's building does experience a lot of flooding, because I did know a friend of mine who owned a business there and left because of this. Does this area have that same problem?
This entire, and again, our civil engineer is going to talk about stormwater specifically, but right now there is no stormwater management on this site at all. So if rain hits the pavement, it goes to the lowest place next to the pavement. It's not treated, it's not absorbed, and it's not contained in any way. The rear parking lot, Upper Montclair Plaza parking lot, has some grates in places, some inlets in places. Those are also not, they don't exit anywhere. They're not tied into a complicated storefront system. So the short answer to your question is yes, businesses in this area are impacted by that. Our plan greatly improves the stormwater that's there, and candidly, any plan that were to go on this site would improve it by definition, because we have a stormwater ordinance that talks about how much stormwater can flow and where it flows and how much you have to detain on site. But ours does a particularly good job.
So it's going to help.
At that. It's not only going to help what's going on our site, it should ancillary help what's going on in adjacent sites, because this site is contributing to that problem currently, and it will stop contributing to that problem with this site.
Okay. So last question. I'm getting the hang of this though, right, with the questions?
Thank you, yes.
Do you feel that at these meetings, these last meetings, that we're putting the cart before the horse? Because we're not really listening to what the public has to say, we're listening to more about the planning of it.
I don't understand the question.
That we're talking all about the plan, and it has to be fixed numerous times, you're probably going to have to fix it again, but nobody's actually heard from the community and how they feel about it.
I've been in front of this board a number of times. And I get frustrated by this process.
And it could be the way it is, I'm just curious.
Some members of the board do, but that is the process. The process is that witnesses come up, they testify. I've never had a plan that didn't have some amount of revisions between board meetings, and I believe that those revisions make for a better plan. They make for a better application. There have been times in my career where I've said, I don't think we can revise that. And in this particular case, from what we heard in the first meeting, we were able to make what I think are some significant revisions that accomplished at least some of the comments I heard both from the community and the public and the board. But it is standard for the public to speak after the case is heard. I didn't dictate that.
We will be able to talk maybe the next time?
Hopefully the next time. I mean, given that we've gotten through one witness tonight and it's almost 2 hours in, there's a good chance this will go beyond 3 hearings and into 4 hearings. I mean, we'll see how it goes. It all depends on, how they put on their case here, but that would just be my general sense right now. But don't take that as absolute, please.
Thank you.
Carol Ferris, Princeton Place. Mr. Genova, you testified at length.
Ms. Ferris, can we get you just a little closer to the microphone, just so we get it?
I usually never had a problem being heard.
Well, I can hear you well. I just want to make sure the microphone does.
You have testified at length as to what the Deputy Chief Fire Department of the Fire Department has told you, correct?
I don't know if I've testified at length, but I've testified about that conversation, yes.
And since we haven't heard this from his lips, you're asking us to assume that everything that you attribute to him is truthful.
The email from the fire department to the planning board reflects the conversation that I had with the deputy chief.
You've also made a distinction. The simple part is you are asking this panel and this community to accept what you say as being exactly what his intention was. Yes or no?
I don't think I'm doing that.
Well, let everybody else think about it.
Jane Hansen again. A quick question about that conversation with the fire chief or the deputy fire chief. Did I understand you correctly to say that he didn't want any queuing in front of his driveway, in front of the fire department? Is that what, did I get that right?
This conversation started early in the process.
Mhm.
It was before we had this plan developed.
Mhm.
And I said, we bought we're under contract. I don't think we had closed yet. We're under contract to buy the bank. And I said, we're going to be building something next door. How can we work together? And what needs does the fire department have so that I can think about those needs when I'm planning
Mhm.
our design? And he said, he brought up Starbucks. I don't remember whether or not he brought that up and said, don't put a Starbucks there. But he said, we have a queuing problem where sometimes people park in places they're not allowed to park and throw in their hazards. Try not to give me a use that encourages that or enhances that problem. But that was the conversation around queuing. Specifically, he brought up, DoorDash and Uber Eats drivers and how he believed them to be careless.
So did you think he was saying he just didn't want people parking in front of the fire department?
I took it to, Mr. Trembulac mentioned or answered a question previously about how long these parking standards have been in place. It's a similar length of time that most of our planning standards have been in place. They've been updated carefully and thoughtfully from Ms. Talley and her team, but I don't think meaningful changes have happened to the planning process since the advent of Uber Eats, DoorDash, Amazon, and the day-to-day delivery quantity, day-to-day pickup quantity that we have, whereas some of the retail uses that are approved by right in various zones now have an impact to their community that they didn't have when they were approved. And we haven't changed that in terms of how we approach retail planning in any of our business districts. And I think we would all agree, I believe and I see that impact playing out mostly in Bloomfield Avenue, in some cases in Watchung Plaza, in some cases in Upper Montclair. And I think what Deputy Chief Lizza was trying to enumerate was there's no laws preventing you from doing this, but you'd be doing us a disservice if you designed for a business that had those ancillary problems and had those challenges from them, both in terms of delivery, pickup, and in terms of the ability for customers to just jump out, leave their car somewhere, have no risk of getting a ticket because they're going to be fast and create a queuing problem in front of the building.
I'm not sure that I read the traffic pattern correctly in your application, but it seems as if the egress into your site overlaps with the grids that are laid out for the fire trucks, so that when they come in and out of the firehouse,
So the
they can in the ingress. Yeah, I think it overlaps it.
It's an existing driveway, though. So we're not changing the location of the northernmost driveway.
Mhm.
That driveway exists and has existed since the bank was built. That will remain the way into the site, but the way out of the site, instead of being on the other
Yeah, I
side of
understand
the
that.
drive aisle, will be out through.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions from the public for this witness? I see none. Let's take a 10-minute break.
I mean, it's indefensible. You know that. So I think we have.
Thank you.
So the zoning board hears it on June. No, the zoning board's gonna hear it. What's the? Gonna be heard in 2 weeks. So just to be clear.
Ms. Talley, we back on? Okay, good. So we're back on. I see the applicants getting ready.
That's a separate, but it will be heard this month before the zoning.
Yeah, it's on, yeah.
On the 20th. I'll find out from her.
Yeah, it's the 20th. Okay.
All right, Mr. Trembulac, are you
We're
ready?
to
Do you
proceed.
need another minute or two, or?
No, we're good to go, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman. My next witness is Gerry Gesario. Ready to be sworn?
Sir, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Would you please state your full name and business affiliation for the record? And by the way, if you can move the microphone a little bit closer to you, just to make sure that we get you.
Sure. Full name is Gerard Gesario. That's Gesario. I'm a director of engineering for Jarmel Keisel Architects and Engineers. Business address 42 Ochner Parkway in Livingston, New Jersey.
Okay. Would you provide the board with your educational background and your professional qualifications in addition to what you just stated?
Sure. I graduated in 1988 from the New Jersey Institute of Technology with a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering. I became licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey in 1994. In my 12 years with Jarmel Keisel as director, I've testified for over 60 boards throughout the state. I have been before this board, although it's about at least 7-8 years ago. My license is in good standing, has always been in good standing.
Chair, will you accept his qualifications as
Yes.
a professional engineer? Thank you.
Yeah, and he's testifying as a civil engineer, right?
Yes.
Yep, thank
Yeah,
you.
right. And your office, under your supervision, prepared the site plan for this application?
Yes.
Okay, and you're prepared to review that tonight with the board?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So why don't you begin? I think everyone knows the site we're talking about, but to the extent you feel
Yeah,
it's necessary, you can describe the property and surrounding area and then proceed with your
Sure.
discussion of your plans.
I'm going to have 3 exhibits this evening. So I think we left off at 20. So these are exhibits.
Do you have new?
No.
Digitally, okay.
Yeah, just digitally, yeah.
All right, so let's,
21 would be next.
all right, so which is the first one? A21 is,
A21 will be an aerial exhibit drawing EX-100. So don't go away.
Again?
Drawing number EX-100, and it's dated March 18th, 2026. I don't have one here. I can,
Yeah.
better to bring it to the meeting so I have it in the file, but it's okay, in addition to.
I can have it brought to the next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay.
And what's your second exhibit?
Second exhibit is drawing EX-200. It's just simply called the site exhibit, which I'll describe when I get to it. And that's also March 18th, 2026.
All right, that would be
Yep. And the third one is EX-300. It's called the street parking exhibit, also dated March 18th, 2026.
These were emailed to the planning department? Today, okay. Yeah, you kind of have to either email them earlier or bring hard copies so the board can see what your exhibits are. It's, as you can probably tell, it's very hard for us to study it on the screen.
Oh, okay, I didn't know we did both. I had hard copies at the last hearing.
Well,
You want paper.
right. I mean, if you can, bring it to 10 days ahead of time, and then we have hard copies and the electronic, like that would be the best case scenario, but we understand, sometimes timing doesn't allow that, so you bring exhibits here, but the board needs to be able to see these things.
Okay. Good? Yep. Okay. I know we spent a lot of time talking about the building. I'm just going to go back for the record to describe where this site is and what's around it. So for the record, it is Lot 30, Block 1711 on the tax maps, and the address is 580 Valley Road. Valley Road is also known as Essex County Route 621, and you can see it runs in a north-south direction. It has one lane of travel in each direction, and parking is permitted on both sides of the road. The nearest posted speed limit I saw out there was a 20-mile-per-hour speed limit. As you can see, our lot is highlighted or outlined in yellow on the aerial
Excuse me,
exhibit.
Chair, can at least the drawing be can you maximize it on the screen?
If you can, or you're welcome to.
I know, I just meant for everyone, it's both a small drawing and not maximized on the screen.
Yeah, if he's able
Can
to
you
do that, yes.
maximize it on the screen, please? So it takes up the whole screen?
So, our lot is highlighted in yellow. As
Can I have a question on that? Just, sorry about it real fast, because Mr. Genova said that the property line goes to the center of Valley Road. The survey shows that too. This doesn't. So I'd like some clarity. What are you measuring? You measuring?
It's part of my testimony.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So I do have that. I
Okay.
can
Sorry
explain.
about that. I just thought we got it.
It's coming. So, our lot is highlighted in yellow on the sheet. It's on the west side of Valley Road. So, yes, I'm going to skip right to that part then. The lot area per the survey, per the deed, I will say, goes out to the center line of Valley Road. That has an area of 18,690 square feet. The lot area, what I call the effective lot area, goes to the westerly right-of-way line of Valley Road. That area is 15,840 square feet. That's the area we used on the resubmitted plans for our calculations. So that's why it's an old deed, and that shows the property going to the center. But if you look at the survey, you'll see in the notes, it shows two areas, one to the center and one to the westerly right-of-way line.
Thank you. I just wanted, so any of your area calculations are based on, the denominator is going to be 15,840 then? That's
Correct. Currently,
okay.
that's correct, yes.
Right. Not the lot area, or the, okay,
Not
thanks.
to the center line.
Got it, okay.
Yep. Okay. As we know, this lot is occupied by an old bank building with a drive-through. It's been vacant, from my understanding, for about 7 years. We have the firehouse to our north. We have the firehouse to the north. We have the church and the school directly across the street. And then there's other commercial establishments to the south and to the west where the public parking lot is. The property's in the NC zone, neighborhood commercial, as we stated. the zoning officer determined this is an allowable use within our zone. We know about what the applicant's proposal. We heard about, it's a swim school, 7,740 square feet. I'm going to switch to Exhibit A22, which is our site exhibit. This is basically our site plan. with the
Again,
land-
can you get rid of the side panel so the image is bigger?
Where was that?
I think it's the hamburger at the top.
Top 3 lines, top left.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
There we go. All right. So, this is our site plan.
Thanks, Rick.
This is our site plan with the landscape and some color added for clarity. You can see our building is positioned on the right-of-way line to Valley Road and the southern property line. The driveway is to the north. It does get relocated slightly, just to correct on that. The existing driveway, the firehouse driveway and the current driveway is separated by a sidewalk that leads to the public stairs at the northwest corner of our site. Per the initial review letters, it was asked of us to move the sidewalk to the building side and slide the driveway over a few feet so it abuts directly with the firehouse driveway. So there is a slight shift in the driveway when compared to the existing conditions. So we can accommodate the sidewalk being on the building side. So that driveway is 14 feet wide, and as you come in, it enters into an 18-foot wide drive aisle, and our exit is proposed at the rear, where there currently is an exit, but it's blocked off by bollards. So that'll be improved. It's going to be 12 feet wide to meet code, and that'll serve as our egress from the site. The current southbound egress driveway gets eliminated, and that's where we can pick up some parking, which I'll show on the next picture. Let's see. As was stated, in the rear of the site, we're providing parking for 11 vehicles, one of which is an ADA vehicle. One will provide an EV charging station, and one station is going to be signed for compact spaces. That's the northeastern space. That's going to be signed for compact spaces. The spaces are 9 by 18. Drive aisle is 18 feet wide. The exit drive is, as I mentioned, 12 feet wide. These are all, well, there's a waiver for the parking stall size. 9 by 19 is required. We're doing 9 by 18. And our opinion was we can meet 9 by 19, but the drive aisle would go to 16 feet wide, which does still comply, but we felt an 18-foot wide drive aisle was safer and gives more comfort to the driver having a wider aisle. So that is one of the waivers we're asking for the parking stall sizes. Trash was brought up. I'll just reiterate for the record, the trash is going to be inside the building, as very little trash is generated by this use, so a private company will gather the trash and take it off-site. This site will also propose all new curb and sidewalk along the frontage to improve the appearance on the front. This is for landscaping. There's not a lot of landscaping. We did what we could do with the space we have. There's 4 islands in the 5 areas in the rear that get landscaped, 2 shade trees, and we're also adding 2 new shade trees along Valley Road. Lighting was talked about. There's 3 pole-mounted fixtures and 3 wall-mounted fixtures that were modeled. There was discussion about the sconces in the front. Those were not modeled. Typically, those are more architectural and don't provide that much light. We can certainly add them in any future submission just to see what effect they have on the walkway at Valley Road. Next item is to talk about the stormwater.
Before you do that,
Yep,
Jerry, just since you've got the parking plan shown
Yes.
on there, can you indicate which space is the compact
Yes.
space?
It's this one, the northeastern one.
Okay. And I think the engineer had a concern about the dimensions of
Yeah.
that space. Can you address that?
Yeah, the comment letter, in the review letter, it showed that the vehicle was sticking out in about a foot. And when I looked into it further, that was because the car that was placed in that spot, as an example, was not a compact car. It was a full 19-foot long car. Compact cars are typically 15, 16 feet. So it actually does fit in that spot and will not encroach into the 18-foot aisle. And future submissions will correct the car that we used in our model for that spot.
So the aisle width remains conforming at 18 feet, correct?
Yeah, the aisle width can stay at 18 feet, and there will be no encroachment of a compact vehicle into there.
Okay, and the dimensions of the compact parking space were 8 by 17,
That's correct.
which is consistent with what the town permits for compact spaces.
That is
The
correct.
dimensions.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Hernandez.
Will that space be signed?
Yes,
as
we'll have a
compact?
sign
I don't
for
believe-
compact.
I guess in the future submission, if you could indicate the location of that sign.
Yes.
Helpful as well.
We'll put detail in the location. It'll say compact cars only.
And I believe Mr. Hernandez's report also highlighted a potential issue with encroachment on the sidewalk from that compact car.
If the car pulled straight up and touched the bollard, there'd be a 3-inch encroachment into the sidewalk, but we still get 3 feet 9 inches of clearance. And that's if the car touched the bollard that we're putting there. So.
And otherwise, it's 4.5 feet, so 4 feet 6 inches?
Let me just.
Is that what I read on the plan?
Let me go back to that. I think it's 4 feet there, but let me check. Let me just check that.
Yeah, I'm going by the snip that's in Mr. Hernandez's report.
I just want to go to my. So make sure I have the right number, because bear with me. I'm not used to this computer. Zoom in. Yeah, it's 4.5 feet. So I think the encroachment, I thought the encroachment was 3 inches, but either way, we'd have 4 feet remaining. More than, at least 4 feet remaining if that left, I'll call it the left front end of the car came over the curb.
But I thought you indicated that the template used for the
Yeah.
vehicle was not the
The-
correct size. So
The length is not the correct size, so this overhang will go away. This would happen with any car.
Okay.
If they were to touch the bollard there, it would extend over the curb. We could move the bollard and, no, I mean, the thinking was that people don't pull their car up to touch the bollard. So now if I move the bollard back, then people are not going to want to touch the bollard again. And then there's a chance they're sneaking out into the island.
So would it be better to show it on the plans with somebody not touching the bollard? Right, because that's how you're presenting it to us. is if
I'm showing
somebody's-
a worst case. But in reality.
In one
you're-
way.
Yeah, in reality, no one's going to hit well, they might hit the bollard.
So then are they going to be in the drive aisle if they don't,
No, not with a 16-foot car.
even if they
Not with a
don't?
compact car.
If they're 6
3
inches from the
or
bollard?
6 inches off, we're still okay.
Okay, Mr. Hernandez.
Yeah, no, I was just going to mention, I think in previous iterations, there was rows of concrete wheel stops along those parking spaces. Maybe
Correct.
as you go look and tweak things, maybe for that particular parking space, you have a concrete wheel stop, so it doesn't allow cars to go all the way out.
We were asked to remove the wheel stops.
But just for this space.
Just for this
Just for this
space.
space?
Just for this space, since it's a unique
We generally don't
one.
Right.
do the wheel stops.
Yeah, that's
As an option.
Okay, that's fine. But yeah, that's why we took the wheel stubs out, but we can put one back in for sure.
They tend to collect litter.
Understood. All right. So, just for the parking, I'm just going to finish up the parking. This is the exhibit A23. Yeah, A23 that shows in red along Valley Road, by getting rid of the existing egress driveway, we can pick up 2 street parking spaces over there. So I just want to show that. So the last thing I'll talk about is stormwater. There's been some discussion on that. So this project is not a major development in terms of stormwater as defined by the DEP. So we are only required to address the township's ordinance for stormwater.
Jerry, can I stop you there before you talk about the improvements
Yeah,
for stormwater
sure.
and drainage? Can you spend a few minutes talking about the existing drainage for this site and whether there are any existing stormwater facilities currently on this property?
Yep, sure. I was going to get
Okay,
into that, but
sorry.
yeah, so just to touch on Montclair's requirement, Montclair requires you retain and manage 2 gallons of stormwater for every square foot of added impervious coverage. Currently, on this site, there is no stormwater infrastructure. Everything drains from east to west or Valley Road to the back to that rear parking lot. There is an existing structure right at the bottom of that egress driveway that collects all the runoff from there in the portion of the parking lot behind us. It is simply an infiltration, or I'll call it a seepage structure. It's not tied to any other stormwater. There's another structure to the south in that parking lot similar. It's a manhole frame, open frame, water runs in, and there's no connection point. This cross-hatched area that we show here, this site does list a flood zone on the property behind us. It's listed as flood zone A. Flood zone A is typically a flood zone. It's not associated with the stream. There's no really elevation assigned to it. It's typically due to stormwater backup, either insufficient size or maintenance issues. That's what's happening back here. So these limits that they show on FEMA are guesstimates based on historical data and flooding. And it runs along this wall, and it encroaches slightly into our driveway, somewhere just past where the word stops are. So that elevation that's plotted is elevation roughly 331. There was a comment about the DEP and the flood hazard if it affects our site. Our parking lot up here is up at elevation 334. Our finished floor is elevation 335, so we're 4 feet above what the FEMA map shows this flood area A to be. We're not changing the grade in this area. We're not filling it, so that we're not changing anything with regard to that flood area that's delineated. So again, there is no drainage on our site, but what we are proposing is a subsurface infiltration basin. This dashed rectangle is the outline of 280 linear feet of 36-inch perforated pipe that's going to sit in a gravel bed. And we are currently collecting, our proposal is to collect all the roof runoff and discharge it into this infiltration basin. So this roof is just under 50% of our entire lot. And in terms of numbers, to give you an idea, we're required to manage 5,508 gallons of stormwater, which equates to 736 cubic feet. The system we're proposing will provide 3,794 cubic feet of storage, which is more than 5 times what we are required to permit or required to manage per the Montclair ordinance. there was a request in the review letter to also pick up the site runoff by putting a perforated pipe in this gravel area at the rear of these parking spaces. We can do that. We certainly have the capacity to do it. So that actually will pick up most of the driveway and almost probably 80% of the site, where today 0% is being managed. So definitely an improvement to the drainage and what's occurring in the rear parking lot behind us. That's it. The waivers, just relief I'll touch on. Our planner will obviously go into more detail. Impervious lot coverage, that's something I do want to clear up. There was talk about impervious coverage. The ordinance doesn't have a max for impervious coverage. They do lot coverage. And the difference was, and went over this early on with the professionals, because I was trying to get under the 80% that's required, and I asked about doing pavers or permeable pavement, and the response was that changes impervious coverage, but it's still lot coverage. So Montclair's ordinance is lot coverage, not impervious coverage. And we are proposing, using the right-of-way at the west side of Valley Road, we're at 97% lot coverage. But we feel that's more than accounted for by the storm basin we're putting in, that's now going to collect probably 80-90% of the site and manage that on site and infiltrate into the ground. The other waiver we're seeking is for lighting. 2 foot candles is the max. We have an area by the ADA, by the entry, the rear entry and the ADA parking, that exceeds 2. Most are between 2 and 2.5. We have a couple over 3. So we're requesting a waiver. We feel having a little more light in this area by the ADA and the entrance is not going to be a negative effect to our neighbors, since our neighbors are a municipal parking lot and the firehouse to the right. And the third waiver we're requesting is a light pole, which is on the west property line. Ordinance requests they be 30 inches from a face of curb. We're proposing to have one fixture directly behind the edge of pavement. There is no curb in that location. I think the other variance we talked about was the parking, where 39 spaces are required and 11 are provided on site. And that's all I have.
Did you mention the waivers for the parking space? I think you
Yes,
mentioned
I did.
that earlier for the
Yep.
parking space dimensions and
Yes, the waiver for the parking space dimension, the maximum foot candles and lighting, and the location of the light pole. Those are the 3 waivers I had.
Okay. Do you want to discuss the reports from the board planner and the board engineer?
Sure. The last planning memo received was dated February 4th, 2026. I believe we've addressed the items in that letter with our April resubmission. A new memo wasn't issued for this meeting, but I believe we addressed all the items in the February 4th memo in advance of this meeting. We have a May 1, 2026 engineering review from Neglia. We intend to comply with the remaining comments in that letter. I have 3 items I noted for discussion, and I'll just list them by the comment number as they appear in the letter. Comment 4.7 talks about obtaining an access easement to utilize that rear driveway. It was our opinion that an easement's not required, since that's a public right-of-way, and we don't think an easement is needed to exit our property into a public right-of-way.
Mr.
Chairman, if I could
Hernandez,
just-
yeah.
Before we move off that,
Yep.
I think it's a public property owned by the township. It's not a public right-of-way. And I guess the concern is looking ahead, if the town were to in the future sell this property and a future developer eliminate access on that side of the property, what recourse would you have?
Well,
That, that's an issue. Well, yeah, I guess the same question would be what recourse would any of the, the adjoining property owners have? The Talbot's building, for example, and others, but, and that's an issue that I think, I need to spend a little bit more time researching. But again, right now, it's, it's public property, and there's an existing driveway that's been there and utilized, and I don't know that we need any easements. In my opinion, we don't, but I'll research that further and follow up on that issue.
Okay. And comment 6.3 talks about the same driveway exit and whether the space in front of that, which is being used for parking, is a permitted space. I think the applicant is working on getting documentation for that to show that it's not one of their permitted parking spots, even though it's used as one. So that documentation, Mr. Genova is working on obtaining with the parking authority. But I think the other comments, I touched on the flood hazard, that we believe we're in compliance since we're not doing any fill in that area, and we're 4 feet above the elevation based on the FEMA map. But other than that, we intend to comply with the comments that are within that May 1 letter.
Just on the issue with the flood hazard area, I mean, it's your opinion, there's no DEP permit required?
We don't
based upon
believe we
the
need a DEP permit for this one.
Okay.
Was that tied to a specific paragraph number?
The DEP?
What you just testified to?
Yes.
I think it's 5.2,
Latest.
unless the numbers changed.
Correct, 5.2, comment 5.2.
Anything else, Jerry? I think you covered it.
That is it. That's it, all I have.
I have a quick question on,
All right, Mr. Tremblay, did you have more?
I just remember one thing, a minor point, but I know the board's always concerned about snow removal, storage area. You've added snow storage areas to the plans, I think, and if you could just identify where those are
Yeah,
located.
we have some areas where snow can be stored. They're mostly the islands in the rear. It's not a lot of area. But basically, they'd be using these 4 islands in the rear. Worst case, they'd have to cart it off-site if it's like a major snowstorm. You're getting a foot or more than a foot. They may not have enough room. They may have to cart some off-site, but these 4 islands would be the bulk of the snow storage area.
That's all I have.
Mr. Ian Wally.
Yeah, I just want to go over the detention, right? There's no sewer off this, no drainage off this.
Yeah.
The water stays on site.
It's
and
going to
infiltrates
detain
into the
and
ground.
infiltrate into
Yeah.
the ground.
You said there's 5,000 cubic feet that you're putting in? Is that, I'm just trying to get
The capacity of what we're
the
putting
pipe that
in.
you're putting in. You said something. I was getting the gallons and the cubic feet confused.
I have the gallons too, if you want it. What we're putting in provides 3,794 cubic feet of storage, which is,
Oh, 3,000, okay.
yeah, which is equivalent to 27,885 gallons.
Okay, could you just put that in terms of like, that sounds like a lot of cubic feet. How much does that mitigate with the storms that we have? So let's say if the typical rainfall, like, would it absorb most of the water coming off for a particular
Yeah.
storm or?
To help put it in perspective, what we sized it for was taking all the roof drain, which is 7,740 square feet, and using a 100-year storm event, which is about 12 inches of rain under current numbers. So, yes, for typical 1, 2-year, even 5-year storm event. There's
Okay, so would you
plenty.
say that you're doubling you're cutting in half the runoff? I mean,
It's even
whatever
going to
the-
be more, because in the review letter, one of the requests was to add a perforated pipe in this stone trench we have between the parking and that retaining wall, and that's going to pick up a good portion of this parking lot and our entry drive. So with the final plans, even more than
Okay.
just the roof is going to go into that.
So whatever's going in that little sewer there that doesn't work too well, you're cutting it by 60%, is that kind of
Probably
roughly?
more at the end of the day, yeah.
Sure.
Mr. Borshoff. Just for clarity, you had mentioned that the building is 4-foot grade above where the FEMA map required for the flood map for FEMA, right? So the building itself, that's the outside of the building?
The finished floor.
The finished
floor inside.
Inside, okay, thank you.
Yes.
So even though it's a 4-foot drop, it's still technically 4 foot above
The 4-foot
grade?
drop occurs from the Valley Road side.
Mhm.
There's about a 10-foot grade change in this site from Valley to the bottom of that exit driveway.
Got it.
So from Valley, we start sloping back. So the 4-foot drop in the floor is only from the Valley Road side.
Okay.
In the back, we're at grade basically when you enter that door.
Okay.
And that floor is elevation 335, where the FEMA map, the approximate elevation they're showing is 331.
Okay.
So, yeah, 4 feet.
Thank you.
Yes.
I had a few questions. Landscaping, you're putting in a cherry laurel, non-native and toxic. Would you reconsider that one?
I thought we did change that, but I just wanna,
The berries are poisonous.
yeah, I mean, if that's what we.
A mountain laurel or something, a native laurel, would you consider that?
Yes, if that's what we, I just want to see. I thought we did change to all native. I can read that.
It's
We
the
have
prunus laurel.
The trees we proposed are American hornbeams.
It's the evergreen shrub, the first one.
Oh, the evergreen shrub, not the tree, okay.
Yep.
The autoleucon?
Yep.
Yeah, we can change that.
Thank you. You put the hornbeam, I noticed, right in front of the front door on Valley. What was the thought in that?
Honestly, there wasn't a front door on Valley when we put the tree there.
Okay, so will
We-
you
we can
reconsider
slide-
that?
We can slide it. We do have some utility issues there, but we can try and move that away.
All right, because I think a concern was the whole visibility of the door on Valley,
Yeah,
and
we'll
the
see if
tree
we
would not
can-
help.
I don't know how far we can move it, but we can move, because there are utilities that run.
I think a priority
there.
for me is visibility of that front door, but I don't speak for everyone. Mr. Genova talked about how the fire department's personal cars were going to use something to get out. Can you show that, how that works? I was unclear what are they using?
I think the testimony regards to they park back here.
Right.
And under current conditions, they drive over what is the existing sidewalk.
Okay.
That runs between, basically between our building and the property line, and it's always getting damaged. So I think, my understanding is they can come out, and now there's no sidewalk here, they can use our driveway as well for.
But they're going in your driveway which direction?
Well, to come out, because they have fire trucks, I think, sometimes back here, so they can come out this way.
On your driveway that goes the other direction? That seems dangerous.
I'll let Dave explain it.
So the the conversation with the fire department was split into two different vehicle types.
Right, this was their personal cars.
They
I
have
understood
their
it.
apparatus is in the bay of the fire station,
Yep.
and that can come in and out the way it is.
Yep.
Sometimes, because they have the luxury of it, because there is space next door, they do take it out to wash it on our site and do some other things. We haven't negotiated that particular line item. But their personal cars are behind
Right.
the fire station. And the idea is not that they need to get out to Valley Road, it's just that they need to be able to move them out of that space as the shift change is coming, so they would follow the directionality.
Can you just show it on the map, the route they would take?
So the vehicles are back here.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is that.
And if you could hold the mic up, just so we catch this. Thank you.
The idea is that back here, they need to get out as cars are coming into their site. So as long as they have the ability to cross the property line, they don't, I mean, it was told to me that they don't mind going out in the directionality that we've proposed for this. They just, right now, they come out and they either go around the bank. I don't know if they're going the wrong way on the ingress or egress right now, but it's about them being able to manipulate vehicles without having to fully evacuate this lot prior to new cars coming in.
So could you draw us a plan that shows how they're going to exit to make sure they're not coming onto oncoming cars entering your space? Or make an agreement with them how they're going to use your property? It just seems like a dangerous condition if they decide to go out straight onto Valley.
This way.
Correct.
We've not discussed them doing that.
Have you discussed
We've discussed them
doing
following,
anything?
yeah, following the directionality.
And do you have anything in writing about documenting that? Or anything?
No, because we would want this board to opine first as to whether or not they agreed with it, but we would document this condition.
That would be helpful,
We would
yeah.
memorialize this condition, but there was never the request that they be able to go the wrong way
Okay.
on this drive aisle. It was just simply to cross the property line to get out rather than use their one-way in here.
Okay, and they can make that turn.
Well, I'd like to see that.
Well, they can
I'd
just go
actually-
straight.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
sort of
They can
I
go
mean,
straight across this. The vehicles
depending where
are-
their car is parked. Could we just get a little better of a plan for how that's going to work?
I don't know how to get a plan from the
well,
fire
see how their
department.
cars are
I think
parked?
to be clearer,
Yeah.
this condition that you're discussing now with the fire department is what's currently occurring. Do you anticipate that that will continue to occur once the development has been constructed?
What is currently occurring is that they are not treating the property line as if it is a property line.
No,
They are
I get that.
crossing a sidewalk, and they are crossing our driveway. I don't have eyes on what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, but right now, they have some vehicles that cross here
They can
and
do that.
leave.
You're allowing them
Yeah,
to
I'm going
do
to
that.
allow them to continue.
My
doing it.
question, and I think Nicole's question relates to what's going to happen in the future. Is that situation going to occur that the fire department vehicles will enter your property in order
Yes.
to egress down into the municipal lot?
That is why we shifted the building this way, was so that they weren't landlocked back here with only, I don't know if it's 10 or 12 feet, they have a one-way in right here. So if a new officer was coming during a shift change and this guy had to leave and my building was abutting the property line,
I
he would
understand.
be in he'd be landlocked.
If
back
you don't
there.
mind. Following that up, is it possible, will it be possible for someone coming into your driveway to go into the fire department lot?
Physically, there will not be a barrier, but their lot's not striped, I don't think. It's not, it's more of a parking area behind the fire station than it is, an engineered parking lot. It's just where they put their vehicles.
No,
So
I
yes,
understand
there would
that.
be no physical barrier between those two.
So, once your site is developed, if the board grants your approval, then fire persons coming on to their shift could conceivably come into your driveway and then go into the rear of the parking, of the fire department and into
Correct.
that lot.
Correct.
And that's going to be okay with you.
Correct.
Just wanted to
I think
clarify
there'll
that,
probably
if that
have to
was
be
what.
some written memorialization.
Yeah, we plan
and
to
understanding
memorialize
with the
this, but
fire
it felt
department.
premature.
Because your concern is that they don't exit to Valley Road, that they exit.
It's a new entrance into a parking lot that's not designed specifically for that entrance. I don't know how often they get off shifts. I don't know if it's 10 cars an hour. I don't know if it's 1 car a day. It's very unclear, but you're creating this parking plan for a certain vehicle movement, yet there's this secondary vehicle movement into your parking lot, probably on a daily basis, that is not clear to the board, what's that look
I
like?
don't think there's a lot of vehicle movement with the fire.
I don't
houses
know.
since
I
they're
have
on-
that's
usually
the
on-
question I would like to have
They're
answered.
usually on 24-hour shifts.
I can't,
I
I
don't
won't be
know.
able to answer that
Well,
question.
well,
The fire department can answer
maybe,
that question.
Maybe next time you can have the fire representative from the fire department here, because it.
Me?
it- Well,
You want me to
yeah.
call the fire department?
Well, this is your application, isn't it?
We don't.
I can't get the fire department to come here and testify. They're not.
Okay, so then I don't know how we can approve that part of your application.
I'm not asking for anything. on
You've
that
said
part of it.
Yeah, you
many
are.
times
Well, we
that
can-
that's a
we can-
use
we
into
can
your
request
lot.
that the fire department
Yeah.
come here
Right.
and, so we can bring the,
We're going to subpoena them? Okay.
I'm not saying.
No,
I'm just like,
Not
I'm like,
saying
why?
you have
I'm just
to.
saying, I'm not requesting any relief related to it. This
I
is
know,
an
but-
existing condition that the fire department has.
To address the board's issues, we'll bring the fire department here to
Yes,
answer your
please.
questions, clearly.
Because,
I'm
but
fine
you're
with
describing a
that.
condition that you don't have details on, and that's where I think we're having some challenges understanding how safe is it, how often does it happen? And I recognize you can't testify
Right.
to that, but this is part of your application saying this will happen, so we need somebody who can testify to that.
I understand. I'm saying, I didn't realize, I'm saying it's a municipal function that will occur that we're trying to not prevent from occurring. But despite having a legal right to prevent it from occurring, we are very engaged with not doing that. I
Yeah.
anticipated that the fire department communicates with the planning department or the planning board at a higher level than it appears that they do. I'm happy to have them here. I didn't know I could call the fire department as a witness.
No, we'll invite them to come to the
Okay.
June 1st meeting.
Yeah.
That's the proper way to do it.
Okay.
I have one more question. I actually am not a lighting expert, so maybe you could weigh in. On the corner of, all right, so on your lighting plan, I guess that's the northeast corner, where it's 0.2, the light levels, but then there's also a tree creating shade on that corner. I was just worried about this, how that would feel, because ideally people are using the sidewalk both in front of the building, on the side of the building. Or is 0.2 a low light level?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have this
that's-
whole area, plus we have a tree, and the way the sun will come, it will create shade because the sun is hitting it that way. So can that corner be addressed in terms of the low light level? Sorry, this is not, nope, the other side.
The north.
To the east.
Yeah, northeast. I mean, that also is low lighting. I mean, there's a lot of, I'll expand on Ms. Wallace's comment. There's a
Thank
lot
you.
of low lighting here. If 0.5-foot candles is the minimum, there's a lot of areas that don't meet 0.5. And how will you address that?
Well, the areas.
Northeast.
I'll check the areas that didn't meet .5, I thought were in the islands, but northeast is,
So to the right
yeah.
is the northeast on this one.
Where that second, what was it, a hornbeam planted in front of the building, along the street?
Yeah, if you
Oh,
look right,
you're talking about in the street?
well, where the driveway and the sidewalk, I mean, it's driveway, it's sidewalk.
It's your property, not the street.
What was happening? I'm a little confused. Are you talking, I was confused at where you're talking, the rear of the site or the front of the
No,
site?
right where you have your mouse. It's,
Yeah.
at least I believe that's where Ms. Wallace is talking. That's
Oh, this
where
.2?
you've got
PHPs?
several .2s, you've got .1s in the driveway where the sidewalk and the driveway are overlapping, we'll say.
We'll address them and comply with the .5 minimum. We'll address them in the revised plan. We'll look and see where we're below, and we'll address them.
Yeah, I know areas that are below in the northeast, the southeast, northwest, and southwest. So kind of the corners.
I'm having trouble with this.
Particularly along that crosswalk.
Right,
As well.
the crosswalk, that sidewalk,
You want me
the
to find
exit, the egress. I mean, I'm okay with a
Okay.
little extra lighting in that parking area, especially around the ADA space.
Right,
personally think that's okay.
We need to meet the
But I get more
0.5.
concerned about low light, and then it looks like there's some extra spillage, maybe onto the Talbot's lot, which I think that's a parking lot, so maybe that's not a huge deal.
We'll make sure we have 0.5 in all pedestrian areas, we'll call it.
Okay, so you can submit a revised plan?
Yep.
Thank you. Hope, Ms. Wallace, does that help address your question? Mr. Orbea?
Thanks, Keith. I have two questions. One is broad and another one's specific. The broad one is, when we're talking about Chapter 347 for the 80% impervious coverage cap, this is a bulk dimensional standard, which relates to form, size, shape, mass, footprint, right? But I understand that we're satisfying 295 with the performance standards of the stormwater and overperforming in some capacity. My first question is connected more to Chapter 347, which is not only addressing stormwater, it's also addressing mitigating urban heat island effect, greenery and landscape and the streetscape, supporting tree canopy, pedestrian-friendly amenities.
Are you reading from a section of the ordinance?
I'm reading based on
347?
my interpretation of Chapter 347. Our
Okay,
question
I
is
just-
based
I
on my
just-
opinion. Yes,
just-
I'm not quoting the
I
section. The
understand.
section
Just wanted to make sure.
literally states verbatim, impervious surfaces shall not exceed 80% of the lot area, and it does not grant a specific, if it surpasses a certain amount of performance of stormwater, then you're entitled to whatever based on that. It does not say that. It just says impervious surfaces shall not exceed 80% of the area, which is why I'm interpreting it this way, right? It's not just managing stormwater. So my first question is there a way to address this beyond stormwater? There's more than a tree or two that we're discussing. It's like that's why the 80% is there. It's because it's intended that more percentage of that space would be connected to supporting wildlife and many other things. And the master plan supports this idea as well. That's the first question. And the second question is relating to stormwater. The retention capacity is these gallons are connected to 10-year water event, 100-year storm.
Well, we're not required.
It's still on.
Yeah.
Those
We're
are the
not
two
required
questions.
to design to a certain storm event. The Montclair ordinance only requires that we manage 2 gallons per every new square foot of impervious area on the site.
Right, right. But I guess my point in that question is that you're seeking relief on a variance based on saying that you're addressing stormwater.
Correct.
Which, if we would like a variance, I would think that the benefit will need to outweigh what you're requesting, and then in that sense, like it's at least worth studying what stormwater event is this mitigating, especially since the entire area has an issue with this.
But we're providing 5 times more, 5 times what we're required to.
But
So, isn't
the
that
question that
handling a larger
specifically
stormwater
I'm
event?
asking is, in the event of 100-year storm, what percentage is that 5 times? Is it substantial and it covers completely? Then great. If it's 5% of that, I don't know that number, and I would like to know that number.
Okay. I mean, just for context, lot coverage, I couldn't find impervious coverage. My understanding of the ordinance is it's lot coverage.
Well, it says impervious coverage. It's
Because-
80% maximum impervious coverage in our
Because
ordinance.
We went, I can tell you, I have emails back and forth with UN Neglia questioning this, saying I would like to do permeable pavement to reduce impervious coverage. You said that's not going to help your lot coverage, which is the variance we're seeking. So there's some confusion on certain things in the ordinance, maybe, I don't know.
I think the discussion was related to reducing how impervious is considered for stormwater management. Providing pervious pavers or permeable pavement does not negate you needing to provide stormwater management for your increase. It's still considered as impervious, whether or not it's permeable pavement or not. And I believe what I referenced was regarding the issue of impervious coverage compliance from Chapter 347. That's more of a zoning issue, not a stormwater management issue.
Right,
So
okay.
that's viewed differently, which I believe I referred you to Jan as
So-
the zoning officer for that.
So basically, our ordinance requires 20% of the site to be pervious. I know it's not that condition right now, but from a zoning perspective, that's what is required.
Okay, so back to here, we're asking a variance, we're allowed 80%. The existing is just under 84%, we're proposing 97. So we've designed a system that, as council mentioned, is over 5 times size. You want to put, if I understand it correct, you want to know what storm event does that equate to? This 28,000 gallons we're providing, because originally we designed for just the roof drainage for a 100-year storm. Now we're being asked to take additional area and bring it in. So I would have to calculate, okay, now what is our system sized for? Is it a 50-year storm? Is that, do I understand your question correctly?
In a way, I'd like to think that if we do grant this forward, then the public benefit is beyond your side only. That is the nature of granting a variance. So if creating a stormwater system that captures not just your lot, but the lots in the surroundings and improves the quality of stormwater effects, then I think that's super interesting and we can look into that. But my question originally was, what is the event of a 100-year storm in your lot?
I'm not sure I can answer that, but the first question, we're not taking stormwater from other lots and bringing them onto our site to detain them. We're just dealing with our lot.
Okay,
All the
that's
flow
fair.
currently
I
goes to
understand
that
yeah.
back lot. We're taking, probably after the next revision, 80 to 90% of this lot and putting it into a detention system that'll infiltrate. So it's a huge benefit to the lot behind us, where currently there is 0 storm structures on site. That whole lot just drains to that back lot. So, I mean, I can put a storm event to what we're capturing, if that's what you're asking, but
Right, it's just the relationship of how much, how well your system will perform in a 100-year storm in your site. It's very specific. It can be quantified.
it can, but
Yeah.
what the change we're being asked to make, I have to go re-quantify it. We're
Yes.
bringing more in, so that's,
And if I'm just, for the record too, just to be clear, I think you testified earlier that the system as proposed was accounting for the 100-year storm of the roof area,
that's correct.
correct? So,
Correct.
okay.
So we're going to take more area in, but we're not making the basin bigger. So we're still going to comply with Montclair's ordinance, but now we won't be sized for the 100-year storm. It's probably going to be greater than the 50-year storm still, but I'd have to run the numbers again.
Other questions from the board? I've got a couple. How many trees are you removing, if any?
One.
One?
The one, as you go out that rear driveway to the left,
Okay,
that one.
okay. And you're adding 4?
4, 2.
2 in the rear, 2 in the
on our
front?
side and 2 on front, correct.
Okay. And the landscaped areas, the triangles that you talked about for snow storage, or those are landscaped, right? You've got some small
Shrubs,
shrubs in
yeah.
there, so are they really going to function as snow storage? I mean, I know you noted it that way, but...
They're going to put the snow there. I mean, if the shrubs don't survive, they have to replant them. That's the best way to answer that, but
Okay. And otherwise, carting off,
they're smaller shrubs, just so we know. They're not large, so they will get covered. If they die, most survive, but then they have to replant.
okay.
Quick question on the parking that's used by the fire department. Right now, there's a sidewalk that's right up against the property line. You're putting that sidewalk against the building. There's a couple little curbs that the fire department cars, the personal cars jump down. You know, small curbs. There's a cobblestone up against the asphalt that's behind or on the side of the parking, the fire station. Then there's another little curb that is between the existing sidewalk and this lot. So how smooth is the pavement going to be when you build out your driveway? Where will that Will there still be a curb that's along the property line, that there's a specific kind of curb cut that the fire department cars would go through, or is it just going to be totally flat between the two lots?
The intent is to tie into the grades with the fire department.
So it'll be
there's-
like one big asphalt area?
Correct.
Would that slope into this property?
No, right now, that fire department kind of runs along the property line down towards the stairs.
Okay,
the
so that's
public
pitching
parking
toward the
lot.
back?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think just picking up on that, some of the other conversations as you're, I know we'll get the fire department here, but as you're thinking about, I don't know if it's the interaction of your testimony with the fire department, but, things that come to my mind is where along the property boundary will the fire department trucks enter? And as they turn onto the property, can they make the turn without swinging onto the sidewalk? Should there be some sort of signage that lets drivers who are coming down that driveway know that there might be cars entering from the right? Because I think naturally I wouldn't expect that. Things for you to consider for the next time. That's, that's where I want to go and, at least get some answers when you come back.
Understood.
What's the difference in elevation of the parking lot area in the back to the municipal lot?
About 3 feet. It's right at the wall, I'll say, where you enter the municipal lot. It's between 330, 331. 331's on our site. The lot, that drive aisle is 334, so it's between 3 and 4 feet.
3 and 4 feet. Do you need any fall protection or anything like that, safety measures, if it's a 4-foot drop?
From the
From your parking area down into the municipal lot,
Right.
along that retaining wall, if it's a 4-foot drop, do you need any sort of, like a fence, for instance?
No, the
Something that
wall-
prevents a
The wall
kid
that
from.
turns in to our site from the existing wall is less than 3 feet height. I think one of the things I would like to do is add a bollard or two, just because the high side is on the parking lot. So I think a couple of bollards there would be a good idea for some protection.
I'm just thinking of people walking along there, like could they fall over? I mean,
We're on the low side. The driveway's the low side.
driveway's the low
Yeah,
side.
The parking area, parking spaces are the high side. So, yeah, someone in that striped area,
Yes.
I understand what you're saying.
Yes, like, people are going to be parking there,
Yes.
kids running around, does it,
We could add some protection there.
it's a question, I don't know if you need to, that's kind of my question is, I'm
Yeah,
not
but
saying.
I understand with kids being present, whether you need it or not, it's probably not a
Is it a
bad
smart idea? And I'm not saying put a chain link fence up there because that's
No.
going to look terrible, but if there is something that could be done, it seems to make sense to me.
Yep, I agree.
As one's exiting, so you've got the retaining wall to the right as one's exiting the property. How does one see around that? Like what,
Well, the existing wall is there,
right,
and then our wall turns into our site. It's actually lower than the existing wall. So that's kind of how does one see around that? I mean,
do you have good sight lines? Is there a car
Yeah.
parked right there? Is there a car parked on the other side? I know that's one thing you're looking into is whether.
Yeah, well, shouldn't be a car to the left. There could be cars to the right that park along that retaining wall.
And so will a exiting driver be able to see well? Like, do you have your sight triangles like that?
They'll be able to see well to the left. I don't know if cars can come from the right. I have to check.
They can't, but
Then-
how does somebody see around that for pedestrians or another car backing out?
I'm not sure how to answer that.
I know you'll be back. You can give it some
Yeah,
thought.
I'm just, because, there's no cars coming from the right. Other than signage, watch for pedestrian signs of that nature. I don't know what else we can do.
Okay. What else did I have? I think that was it for me. Any further questions from the board? No? Questions from the public for this witness about his testimony this evening? Yeah, I mean, come on up. If you can do it one at a time, you can form a line off to the left. Your choice.
Jane Hansen again. Speaking of the municipal parking lot and the steps down to the parking lot, does your plan call for refurbishing them at all?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And I just incidentally happened to be driving down that aisle, and a mother and 3 children came out of the building further north.
To the north, yeah.
And it was very sudden. And I think the drop from the steps into the parking lot is sudden, and also if the line of cars are there, people, even now, wouldn't be able to see it. It could be problematic, and I just ask you to consider, would you consider some signage that would indicate that stairwell is there?
I'm just trying to understand, this is going into the municipal lot?
Yes, going into the municipal lot. It's a pretty steep stairwell in my view.
Existing stairwell?
Yeah, it is. And so, and with the line of cars, as you go down the stairs, the line of cars is to your left, immediately to your left. And I'm coming out of the egress driveway, and I make a right, and somebody comes out from in front of the cars down the stairway. So I think it's just important for you to consider something to protect that.
That sign would have to go on the municipal property. So if they're okay with adding signage, I assume we could.
I have another question about the sidewalk on the north side of the building. Okay, how wide is that?
I believe it's 5 feet.
Yeah.
5 feet.
Given that there are likely to be a fair number of parents with strollers walking back and forth from the front of the building to the back of the building on that sidewalk, do you know if there's enough clearance for 2 strollers to pass each other?
I believe 5 feet will handle 2 strollers. Yes.
Okay. In terms of the turn radiuses within the driveways and at the egress, have you given consideration to the types of vehicles that vendors and contractors might bring onto the property? Have you thought about that at all? And what's your conclusion with respect to the adequacy?
We did. We actually provided a vehicle turning analysis as part of our drawing set. And we used the largest vehicle that would be anticipated for this site, which is kind of an Amazon delivery or a UPS delivery truck.
Mm-hmm.
And that's able to navigate around the turn and out that exit driveway.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I realized I did have another couple questions. On parking, you've got the light pole that's to the west side. Will that impede on the parking
The intent
space?
is to put it right on the stripe, behind the stripe, so it should not impede.
But it's
on the
got some width to it. I think it's shown as 18 inches wide.
The foundation that it sits on will be 18 inches wide, yes.
But that's not one of those foundations that comes up out of the ground. It would be 18 inches wide below grade?
It'll come out, but I know you've seen them in other lots where they put them right on the stripes.
Right.
So does it impede into the space a little bit on each side? Yes.
Yeah, and how many can you, it's, when you come back, tell us how many inches, and is that going to impede someone parking in that spot or cause them to?
It's not going to impede parking in that spot. See, it's an 18-inch footing, set back. Talking maybe 9 inches in that corner.
So they'll be parked 9 inches further towards the aisle?
Yes.
Okay. And does that change your drive aisle width as to where they're going to park?
Unless it's, I'll say, a van car, it might, I'll have to look into that.
Okay.
I'll give you an exact number.
Okay.
You know, I'm sorry?
Cadillac Escalade, what about that?
That might stick out of any 18-foot spot.
Mr. Chairman, if I just may offer a
Yes,
suggestion. I think as you go kind of relook it, it may be helpful just to, I know the intention, and I agree, it's typically, you put it in the center of the stripe. But in this case, because it's angled spaces, perhaps it may be more helpful if you cheated a little to the north. That triangle is usually kind of dead space.
Yep.
Because of the angle of how the car parks in, versus it looks a little more heavy on the south as currently shown, and that would be more of an issue for cars pulling in that corner. So just something to consider.
Okay, makes sense.
And then my other question was related to the height of the signs that are, I think there's a stop sign right near the crosswalk. Along that sidewalk, I think there's what I believe is a stop sign there.
We have
Towards-
signage before that crosswalk to alert, yeah.
Just is the height and the width of that sign going to impede somebody walking through that crosswalk? Like, I don't know how high it is. Maybe that's indicated in the detail.
Yeah, I mean, it's a standard sign, for MUTCD signage, so.
But it looks like looks like the sides of it.
It's off to the side of the crosswalk.
But it looks on, let's see, which drawing am I on? Drawing C950. Which is titled Vehicle Analysis.
Yes.
It looks like there's two, so if I look at the crosswalk that goes from your sidewalk to the sidewalk that then leads to the stairs to the municipal lot, it appears there are two signs that both impede on the width of that crosswalk.
Oh, the
Is that
signs
it?
aren't to scale.
Okay.
They're drawn that way so you can see them, but they won't be, the sign itself won't infringe on the crosswalk.
It won't,
I
okay.
understand your question, yeah.
That's where I was getting at. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's
And-
late and I'm not being clear. Mr. Hernandez.
And just to answer your question, MUTCD requires 7 foot of clearance.
Okay, underneath
from the sidewalk elevation to the bottom of the sign.
Perfect.
So they would have to comply with that. Maybe you could add a detail
Yeah,
showing
but
that.
You wanted to make sure that the sign itself doesn't impede into the cross, in case a 7-foot guy is walking on it.
I guess if there's a 7-foot tall basketball player, like I was more thinking, because I've had to duck around stop signs, and I'm not a particularly tall person.
Understood.
I just wanted to get ahead of some, future issue, potential future issue.
Understood.
All right, questions from the public?
And I don't know if you can answer this, if it's within your bailiwick, but does the developer, or do you expect that cars will be heading north on Valley Road and make a left-hand turn into the egress driveway? Ingress driveway, sorry.
I don't think lefts are prohibited.
The picture on the plan shows a car heading south and turning right into the driveway. Can I show you my,
You're
Yeah.
You're referring to drawing C950?
right, that's it.
Yeah, the intent of that drawing was to show how cars can get through our site. We just chose a car coming from the right to show that they don't cross, to make the turn into the driveway, staying on our property.
But you do it,
Can
but
one come from the left and turn in? Sure.
there'll be no prohibition against that.
I'm not aware of any on Valley Road that prohibits left into business.
I guess what I'm asking is, would you and the developer think that would be prudent because of the traffic in the area?
It's a county road issue. I mean, everybody else go in that direction and make a left turn. To Starbucks, to Talbot's.
Right, and it's
Bank of America,
a problem.
Well,
I understand. I just wondered if anyone had given thought to restricting the turn.
no, we haven't.
Okay, thank you.
questions before? Like, I'm just worried I might be asking the same question, but no?
There were questions of the other witness that we heard from tonight. There were.
Oh, okay.
But this gentleman, he started, I don't know, what, 9:10 or so testifying?
So, yeah, I guess it might be. Name? Oh, sorry, Jennifer May, M-A-Y.
Are you a resident of Montclair?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was wondering, how many employees are going to be using the parking spot? How many employees are in the building?
That's going to be a question for another witness who hasn't testified.
Who
yet.
hasn't testified yet?
Yeah.
Okay,
It'll be
because.
provided at the next meeting.
Okay. Because I'm pretty familiar with aquatics, and I know there's a lot of people who are required to be there. And it doesn't seem like there's going to be enough
Well,
spaces
this will
left
be,
over.
this is the time for questions of this witness?
Just for this witness?
Yes, yes.
Okay. The part of that part of Valley Road that's just north, do you know where that crosswalk is? It's like, is that the Cooper one? Well, it's right in that vicinity. It's the only crosswalk that's there for people. Yeah, and it's quite an abused pedestrian area. People don't always go to that crosswalk. So with all the extra people, is there going to be another crosswalk that's added, maybe on the other side?
We're not proposing any additional crosswalks on public property, public right-of-way, or the county right-of-way, no.
The county would have to do that.
Yeah, we do have to submit to the county. If they suggest something like that, we'll do it. But it hasn't been reviewed by the county yet. That's a
Okay.
county road.
Okay, well, it's a very, that whole area for pedestrians is very tenuous. Okay, that's all. Then
Okay.
I'll wait for the next person.
Thank you.
Hi, Arlene Carini. I own New Valley and One Savvy Design in Upper Montclair. I have a question for you. You're going above the expected drainage, and I understand why, but are you also doing that because you have to empty the pool every once in a while and needs to be able to sustain that?
No, the drainage we're providing has nothing to do with the pool.
So how do you drain the pool?
That's a question for the operator.
Okay.
I don't know how often they drain it. If they drain it, I couldn't tell you that.
Well, sometimes kids do things in pools and they have to.
The operator will deal with
The
that.
operator will deal with that. Okay, so I'm just curious to know if that's the reason why you're going over and beyond.
And I can tell you that they don't drain they never drain the pool.
They don't drain them anymore.
They don't need to, no.
Okay,
But you can ask the operator.
okay. Who is to say that the people going to the swim school won't park in the parking lot of the fire department? Is there a way to distinguish that belongs to the parking belongs to the fire department?
I mean, again, you can add a sign that tells people do not park in the fire department property.
Because this whole application is based on the placement of the building, of the parking spots, based on the fire department and allowing them to come through the property to get in and out of their driveway.
Correct. Just adding the question.
Yes. Can you answer that for me?
I thought it was more of a statement. You said this whole application.
Well, it's time
is
for
based-
questions, so I try to
So-
turn things into
Yeah, I
a,
know,
you
I'm
know,
not
even
really
if
good
somebody
at
gives
that.
a statement, I try and turn it to a question
Thank you.
to stay within the bounds, right?
You're asking how do we prevent people who might want to park on the fire department property?
Right.
Other than signage, that's all you can do.
Is there a way to make a clear depiction of like that this is the fire department's driveway and this is the driveway for the swim school?
We can add a stripe.
I think that would make a safety sense.
We can add a white stripe along the property line.
Okay.
Might
There's
be able
also,
to just treat the apron as well a little bit differently, different color, something like that.
Because you said there wasn't going to be an apron, right? You said you were going to join it together with the driveway? That there
I was thinking
wasn't going to be?
the ingress apron.
Okay,
Yeah, no, the driveways will abut each other.
right, so
we
maybe
can
making.
Put a stripe between.
Just so that people know not to like go that way, or for the firemen to also pay attention to oncoming traffic. There's also a driveway to the left of the driveway that you're proposing to exit into the Montclair Plaza. There is not a stop sign there, which maybe the planning board can ask. I don't know if that driveway belongs to Talbot's or who it really belongs to, but having a stop sign outside of the swim school going into that parking lot, I think would be a great idea if you can propose that, or I can propose that.
I think we have one there.
You
We
do
did
have one.
propose the Stop letters and a sign.
Okay. Is there a way that the planning board can also urge for the driveway next door to do that so that they're not bumping into each other?
If it's on our parking lot, we can certainly add a stop sign on our parking lot. If it's on
Okay.
private property, we can't.
Okay.
So
But
that's
it's
something we can look at.
But you guys said you owned it earlier, no?
Excuse me? I
That
didn't hear-
Montclair owns it? Or
We
no?
own the parking
You
lot.
own the parking lot, so that driveway should be part of,
Not Talbot's.
No.
So where the Talbot's property, I don't believe is township owned.
that
It's-
driveway?
not.
That
There's-
driveway is not?
That's not ours.
Okay,
no.
so can we ask Talbot's to put a stop sign there for safety reasons?
I think that's an entrance.
I saw somebody exiting out of there today.
I mean, it's beyond this application, and it's not
Okay.
something that we can recommend. I mean, if the.
Just for safety, just so
No,
that
I don't
everybody.
I don't disagree.
All we can do is look at how our parking lot operates.
Correct.
Okay.
And if we can put a stop line or a stop sign on our parking lot, then that's within our power.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, I appreciate that. Those are the only questions I had. Thank you.
I only stayed because I thought the planner was going to speak tonight. That was my mistake. Frank
Well,
Verbacki.
It was getting a little late.
Okay, I'm going to be quick. ADA.
Just make sure you hold the mic. Thank you.
ADA. Last meeting, I asked if there was a necessity, there was a need for a ramp of the walkway to the Upper Montclair Plaza. And did you get an answer for me?
Is there a connection from Valley Road down the steps into the public lot? If we need to make that ADA accessible? Is that the question?
Yeah, the conversation was you're making an improvement to your sidewalk. It's not a public sidewalk. It's a private sidewalk that's publicly accessible. Correct?
That
There's no
portion-
easement, there's no right of the town for that
No,
sidewalk.
I didn't.
Fire department has no right on it, right?
I haven't found anything.
Okay.
All right.
So,
I don't
it's your
believe-
property,
yeah.
you're making an improvement. It's not going to be ADA accessible, this was my question. I don't really care at this point. At this hour, I don't care. Don't make it, I just want an answer.
Well, just let them answer it then.
I don't believe we need to provide
Thank you.
ADA access into the public municipal lot from our property.
Okay, well, let's,
We provide ADA access
okay.
to our site into our building.
Okay. The whole curb stop parking lot thing, two sides of the parking lot. One is the elevated wall side facing onto Upper Montclair Plaza. And by the way, I keep calling it Upper Montclair Plaza for a reason, because it's not a parking lot, it's a street. And I think, Counselor, do your homework, just for once.
I did.
Okay,
It's
well,
shown
good.
as a public park, the
It
whole
should-
lot is.
Yeah, I know. You didn't read all the ordinances, though.
Okay.
So maybe you should do that. Because I'm in no mood. Yeah,
Can we just
104
ask
to start.
questions here?
Start with
Excuse me,
104.
Mr. Rabaki?
Okay.
Okay.
Can we just ask questions
Yeah, I am
of those
trying to
witnesses?
ask a question, okay?
Thank you.
So, you have no safety measures for cars parking on an elevated parking space with a 4-foot drop. Is that my understanding? There's no curb, there's no fence, there's no nothing. And we have really great drivers in town, but every once in a while, we get a stupid one.
Let them answer.
We have bollards there.
bollards in front of all the spaces?
That's correct.
Are they indicated on the plan?
That's correct.
And they don't infringe on the 18-foot?
No.
I'm sorry, 22-foot for an angled space, right? The length of a angled space is 22 feet?
Perpendicular length.
Okay. Flip side, other side, angled spaces, no curb stops, no tire stops. What prevents the overhang of the car infringing on the ADA path to the back, to the main entrance?
There's bollards on along those spots as well.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next is what will, we have a condition that may be on your it's on your property, it's on the county right away, in which the fire department has made a big issue here tonight in absenteeism, sorry, my Latin sucks. Where they have striped the space, the area in front and extending at an angle to either side of their property. People generally have ignored it. It's been prior testimony. It's a huge problem. We talked about the fire department crossing over and using your property to exit. What further steps will you take for the visitors to your lot using the fire department driveway in two ways? One, first, a car parks in the driveway before the stop sign because they have a stroller and they have an infant, and the infant seat is usually right behind the driver, so they're going to exit the vehicle from the left side, which means they're going to pull up to the sidewalk, take the kid out of the car seat, put him in the stroller. The car will be there the whole time. The scenario where then everybody else, in order to just get through the lot, forget that they want to park, they have to go around or wait. What is the scenario? What is the plan for handling those situations?
Are you suggesting that a person's going to pull into our driveway, park in the driveway, the entry driveway, to unload their child? I'm just trying to clarify.
Oh, I'm sorry, they're not going to park, they're going to stand. They're going to come in and they're going to have strollers. You're making a sidewalk wide enough for strollers. Okay. You're going to have strollers. That means you have infants. That means you have car seats. Not everybody's going to arrive on foot. So my question is, what happens when you have, one or two people that have infants? They get there and they see the sidewalk. They know the child seat's behind them. They say, I'm just going to stop here. There's space. They can go around me. They do that all the time in Upper Montclair. We talk about the Uber drivers. We talk about all kinds of things going on. So my question is, how do you address a potential situation where your sole travel aisle is blocked by somebody standing, unloading?
There's an old expression, you can't design for stupid.
Well, we're trying. It's called complete streets, but.
Well, hang on. Let's
really-
get back on topic
Yeah,
here.
I mean,
What-
other than an operational issue and telling people, sign, you can't stop or park in the driveway, that's really all you can do.
So there's no engineering solution to somebody who blocks the driveway and causes a backup
Well,
out into Valley Road for your site?
There's physically space because we adjoin with the fire department property.
I'm talking about your property. There's no solution on your property if a single car blocks your single access route through the property.
Correct.
Okay. Knock yourself out. We're not taking any more witnesses, right?
No, there's going to be no more witnesses tonight.
Okay, is this the right place to ask about when the fire truck needs to come out?
I'll need your name again.
Oh, sorry, Jennifer May.
Okay.
Asking.
So when there is a fire emergency, is this the right witness to ask about how that works?
Is that you? Is that the fire department? Is that the parking expert?
My opinion would be the fire department who could answer that best.
Okay. Sounds like we'll have the fire department here, hopefully
Okay.
at the next hearing.
Okay.
And that's probably the right person to ask.
But they'll have to be informed of what type of traffic is going to be there so that they can respond. Do you know what I mean?
Trucks come out now onto Valley Road.
I'm sorry?
The trucks park in the building and come out onto Valley Road currently. That's not going to change.
No, that's not going to change, but for swimming school, you have people coming and leaving at the same time. They overlap. People arrive 15 minutes early for a swimming lesson, and they leave about 15 minutes after. So in other words, you have people, you don't just have one people come in and then there's a break. The lessons are like back to back. So there's, there's the amount of people coming and going is going to be an hour's worth of people, not 30 minutes worth of people, because you have people coming and going as the lessons, the people overlap. They don't.
I think.
But what?
Well, hang on a second. We're going to hear from the operator about how it works. So we'll have that testimony, and then we'll be able to understand whether what you're saying is true or not. I suspect it's probably pretty close to that, but we'll have testimony from the operator as to how that process works.
That's good, just so that the fire department can hear that and they can give us whether or not they think it's going to be,
I think, because we haven't heard expectations for the number of cars coming in, going out. We haven't heard that information yet, so, they will present that. I assume the parking expert will.
Realistically, there's a fire, alarms go off.
And they come out and block
traffic's
the
blocked,
street, so
and
that-
they come out.
Well, and they can testify to that, right? Yeah, I mean, I think that is what happens, but they'll be here to testify to that.
is that the next planning?
I hope so. I mean, we haven't confirmed with the fire department, we
Okay.
can't make their schedule, but once we finish with all the questions for this witness, we will then discuss a date that will be the next time they'll be before us, so we'll announce that here, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anne Marie Nardone. Just 3 questions. Does the fire department have their own driveway? Or is it just one driveway that belongs to the applicant?
They have their own driveway.
So why wouldn't we keep it divided so that stop and pull around doesn't happen?
It was a request of this board to move the sidewalk towards the building side.
Okay.
Put the driveways together.
So that's the one question. The other is construction vehicles. You talked about like an Amazon truck would be able to move around, but now when they do the construction, how are they going to move around? I'm assuming you're going to need like big construction vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, to demo the building and do construction, they'll come in off Valley Road.
Okay, will that impede though, like the traffic from the municipal lot or for the fire department?
It should not impede anything within the municipal lot.
Okay, those are that.
'Cause
And then
because they can't come through our property.
they can't come through, but you won't allow them to.
No, it's
Okay.
one way going out that way.
Last question, when is the next meeting?
We will figure that out
So,
after everybody is
we don't know yet.
questioned.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
When the next meeting is, not when this.
Well, yeah, I mean, I assume she was asking when's this applicant coming back? Yes, we
know when our planning board meetings are.
No, trust me, I'm in that category too. Other questions from the public for this witness? Okay, then maybe we'll get right to this point. So, Mr. Trembulac, obviously it's past 10, so we're not going to take new witnesses tonight.
We would ask for an adjournment and consent to any necessary extension of time for the board to act.
Okay, Ms. Talley, when's the next time we can hear this applicant?
We can put this on the June 1st meeting.
June 1st? Okay, so this will be continued to June 1st. No further notice will be required. So June 1st, barring any changes, they'll be back before us. And Mr. Trembulac, just so folks can hear this, you plan on presenting whom at the next meeting? Subject to change and anything else?
Well, I believe our intention would be to present the representative of SwimQuest, who will describe the operation, and then our traffic engineer who will discuss parking.
Okay, and Mr. Gesario will come back at some point to discuss some site plan changes, I assume?
At some
Based
point,
on his
whether it be
testimony
next-
tonight?
that meeting or a following meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So chances are, folks from the public, we're not going to finish on June 1st. I think that's actually the intent, because you're not going to have all your witnesses on June 1st, right, Mr. Tremblay?
Right, we still have Mr. Stack, so whenever.
So you'll have a planner probably at a
He would be-
July meeting?
July 6th is the date that he's available, so.
Okay. So chances are we definitely will go to June 1st. And then chances are we will also continue it to July 6th when there are witnesses available. That's all subject to change, but that's the current outline right now.
Janice, we're good for July 6th, right? Because again, I'm going to lose Mr. Stack if we don't.
Yeah, I have nothing scheduled for July 6th yet, so.
Well, then let's pencil them in for now,
Yeah.
because if Mr. Steck's not going to be here June 1st. You had a question on procedure, hopefully? What I'm saying is they don't have to do the mailing to everybody within the 200 feet. It goes on the website. We were, I think I was talking to the attorney at the break, maybe there's a way we could put on the website for each application when the next tentative hearing is, or when we expect them to be back before us. I don't know if that's possible, but
Let's talk about it.
Okay.
The communications committee.
the communications committee can handle that, so we're talking about how to improve that a little bit. So when I say no further notice required, it means they don't have to renotice in the, with certified mail, yes. But yes, it'll go to the public, in the normal ways the township communicates, for whatever that's worth. The agenda are always published. I mean, I know we had a clerical issue with this one, but in general, the agenda are published. Like, I download all of my meeting materials from the public website, so I have all the same information the public does. Did you have another? Hang on. I'm sorry, I can't hear
what
you.
you're saying.
Who's the person we're waiting
He is their professional planning witness. So they put together the witnesses they want to present this application to the board, and he's one of their witnesses. You're welcome. So what do we say, June 1st?
Yes.
June 1st, we'll see you back here. And with that, I would move to adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
Good night.
Have a good night, everyone.